Welcome, everybody, to the Casper Podcast. I'm your gracious, beautiful, blessed, beloved, and black host, the kid they call Casper. The KID in Kid Casper stands for King of Development. I'm that menace with the melanin. Reject me as I am, as long as he is still relevant. So, first off, the countdown got a little weird and screwy because, as y'all know, my neighbors are kind of, what's the weird word? Ghetto, to say the least. For some odd reason, somebody just decided to shoot off fireworks. Y'all know Dash. He's horribly anxious. I don't know why we're shooting off fireworks. And what's today's date? May 19th. I don't know the significance of May 19th. The only thing that I can think of is, if anybody from my wrestling fans, I used to watch WWE back in the day when See No Evil came out with Kane, and that was apparently like a big thing with the storyline. That's besides the point. Probably just exposed my nerd culture. Anyway, it was wild. It was nuts. So I end up having to I'm serious. My guest is over here talking in the private chat. But he ended up like knocking over like my camera and everything, and then I had to reset everything. It was ridiculous, and yeah, it was a hot mess. Anyway, thank you everybody that tuned in yesterday. I know I kind of went, I kind of went a little ham on y'all to an extent. Some of y'all messaged me and be like, kid, are you all right? You need to talk. And I did talk. That's why I have a podcast, so I could just share my thoughts and not be interrupted. But anyway, I'm going to drop the intro real quick. Hello, everybody. If this is your first time tuning in, hello. I am the kid that they call Casper. I am a Christian raptivist. Yes, rapper/activist. You know, I love Jesus, but I'm far from a pacifist. I'm a leader of the Interfaith Coalition in the state of Maryland that is trying to fight for systematic educational and economic reform within the state of Maryland. We are the first state to reform the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights, and we're just going to have more and more to come. As more people pile in, there are people from my coalition, as well as like our followers and stuff like that. They're going to be tuning in tonight, but tonight should be fruitful. We also got a protest coming up this Saturday, up in Arlington, Maryland. Shout out to Pastor Dell for hosting the coalition and what we're trying to do. But y'all already know what it is. GhostThreads.com. That's how we pay the bills. Please consider signing up for our Patreon so we can get more equipment, expand like our reach and everything that we are trying to do. But yeah, so today I have a special guest. He's not more than just a guest, and I've had him on here a couple of times, but I haven't been able to take like a real deep dive as far as like how our relationship came to be and everything like that. I've been doing this series like when I had Brother David on here, I had Uncle Rudy on here. I'm going to be having if I think I mentioned before, one of my spiritual mamas on here and talk about like her story and how she's impacted my life. But I've just been doing this series where as my numbers grow, I want to give people that follow me and have been tuned into like my journey and everything a little bit of a feel of not only what I came from, how I came to be and everything like that. And you guys hear that from just podcasts, but getting to know and get familiar with the souls that have completely impacted my life. This is a brother of mine. I consider him. I don't even like to call him a friend at this point. We pretty much like adopted each other. We both suffer from depression being New York sports fans. I'm not kidding. It's pretty serious. But the Knicks are number 4 seed. We're in the playoffs. We weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs, and I'm calling it right now. If the Nets don't win the chip, the fact that we made the playoffs means that we had a better season than them. That's besides the point. That might cause some tension in the comment section. Everybody, I would like to introduce to the screen a good brother to the channel, but not only that, a good brother to this brother, my brother Nate Small out of Maryland. How you doing today, sir?
Damn, call me mid-drink. Now I'm living life. Blessed, highly favored, at peace. Energy's good. Beautiful day.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So considering that this is the first time I'm interviewing you, I've had you on the pod before and giving people an idea of who you are and everything like that. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, on a small little nugget, and we're gonna have you dig into your story a lot later and everything like that. But just give us like a small little synopsis of who you are and everything like that.
All right. So Nate, 33, military brat. Joined the military myself. I've been in 11 years now. Stationed out at Andrews. 2 kids, 9-year-old daughter who's already grown, and a 4-year-old son who doesn't understand the meaning of sit still. Formerly married, divorced now. Devout Christian. I got my issues with the American church, but I'm sure we'll get into that. And yeah, like you said, New York fan through and through. I'm talking Knicks, Giants, Yankees. Yeah, Knicks in the 4th seed. So yeah.
Nice. And I always ask this question, and you know where I'm going to get to. But if you had to pick a favorite Disney princess, what Disney princess would that be?
Tiana. I mean, is that really even a question?
I mean, like, my reservations about Tiana and Princess and the Frog is that she was a frog for most of the movie. And every time we seem to get a person of color as a lead in these animated films, we're literally dehumanized. Like, she was a frog most of the movie.
Okay, you're right. But what, I'm supposed to pick Snow White?
Nah.
Cinderella?
They're trying to cancel Snow White because apparently, my man didn't get consent before he kissed her. But that's I don't know. Anyway, but okay, so you got Snow White, and
let's run through it. You done started it now. Let's run through it. Name the colored princesses other than Tiana and Mulan.
I mean, they all got trifling stories. Pocahontas was actually like 13.
Yeah, I mean, so they dramatized that, made it seem like, oh, they fell in love. No, this was a grown-ass man from Europe who came over, saw an Indian child and said, you know what? I'm going to kill her whole tribe and I'm going to take that. So
facts. It's just, I mean, it's just kind of like, obviously it's kind of like, well, you guys got Obama. Yeah, but Obama was light skinned. Like, we didn't really get a black president. We got a Beyonce when we wanted Kelly Rowland. You understand me? It's like, we got representation, but I still have my thoughts. Oh man, that's funny. And because you are a fellow Blurred, aka Black Nerd, if you had to pick your starter 6 Pokemon to go against the Elite 4, what starter 6 would they be?
And you put me on the spot with this one. I gotta get my man Squirtle in there.
All right.
Charizard, obviously. See, you're gonna have to come back to me on this one because because the way I'm gonna build it out is they're gonna be in sections. It's not like I'm just gonna pick 6. Like, I'm gonna have a strategy for each one. Like, I'm gonna sacrifice like 3 of them because I know 3 of them just getting wiped out early, and then the other 3 are gonna have to be the closers. So before the end of this show, I'm gonna come back to you on that.
Gotcha. But yeah, man. First off, thank you for accepting my invitation. It was literally like something that like God kind of like dropped in me. It was like, well, I talk to Nate, if not all the time when we can and everything like that. And I have him on the pod when I do, but I think this would be, kind of beautiful to not only like have you tell like your story and everything like that, how you got to meet this skinny little black kid with tattoos from Edgewood and everything like that. So I think that this would be dope. So I guess I want to kind of start, not so much for me, we'll get to me in a second, but we'll start at the beginning for you. So tell us a little bit about like, your early life upbringing and everything, just like the earlier stages of your youth.
So yeah, like I said, military kid. So my parents bounced us around all over. So I'm really originally from Cali, born in Sacramento, Bay Area. We went from Sacramento to to San Jose, back to Sacramento. Then we went down to Florida. Then we went from Florida to Virginia. Then we went from Virginia up to Maryland. And then Maryland is where I graduated high school. So yeah, I've been on both coasts. After high school, tried college for a year, decided that I was done with school. Like I just couldn't do school. Tried to go out into the real world, get a job. I was like, nah, this ain't gonna work. So joined the military. Been in the military since 2010. I've been to Korea, Guam, Australia. Missed out on going to Poland. Where else? Hawaii, all over Texas, all over Arizona, Michigan, Florida, pretty much like 49 of the 50 states. Yeah, was in Maryland, then PG County, right outside of Suitland. Any y'all from the area know what I'm talking about. It's easier to explain. I'm outside of DC than try and tell you where it's actually at. Then I moved up to the wilderness known as Hartford County because I met my then wife. We have a daughter. Then we had our son. God decided that, I needed to be alone again. So we separated, got divorced, moved back down to PG, and now here I am. So that's the quick Cliff Notes version of who Nate is.
Gotcha. Also, somebody asked in the comment section, what branch were you in?
The smart one. Nah, I'm in the Air Force.
Yo said the smart one. I know there's like this weird like sibling rivalry that like military heads have. Oh, by the way, I wasn't kidding when I told you when I asked certain questions. So I got another cup of coffee for my Keurig as you were talking. So see how you like finesse being a show host and everything like that. You gotta learn how to work it. You know what I'm saying? So even if I start going on my rants, just be like, hey, to make it look aesthetically cool, I need you to start telling a random story, put the camera on you, and I'm gonna go take a piss real quick. So just make notes, black man. Just take notes, black man. Take notes. So yeah, that's I think I remember you telling me briefly on one podcast. You told me, because I always thought that you were from New York for the longest time. You saying
what that is why I'm such a huge New Yorker is because my dad's entire family's from New York, Mount Vernon, New York to be exact. And so while we were in the military and we moved around a lot, New York was always the spot. Like every summer we'd be in New York. Extended holidays, we'd be in New York. So New York was throughout my life, no matter where I lived, at some point in the year, I spent a good chunk in New York. So then being my dad's big Knicks fan, Yankees fan, Giants fan, I mean, obviously that just got passed down to me. So.
Gotcha. So you now just make sure I heard you correctly. You said you were born in California, correct?
Born in Cali. Yep.
Okay. And so just a little bit, because I was, so as you know, I was born in Kansas. I was, grew up in the Midwest before I went out east. But what was life like as a kid growing up in, you said Sacramento, well, just like the Bay Area. What was life like, as I'm just gonna say like this, as a Black child in like the Sacramento area? Because like I said, I don't know. I only know like if I see like a historical moment that happens, like especially when it comes to our community. But like, tell us a little bit about like what that was like for you growing up.
So Sacramento is, when I was there, Sacramento was still building. It was a real quiet area. Like nothing crazy out of the ordinary happened too often in Sacramento. We were far enough from Oakland and San Francisco that, I didn't have to worry about gang violence or anything like that. I mean, you had your things here and there, but nothing major. So yeah, Cali was cool for me. It was chill. Everybody out there was like just mellow and just kind of going with the flow. Then we moved out to Florida, Panama City to be exact, and that was an experience for sure. So where Panama City is, it's in the Panhandle, which is like right next to country Georgia and country out like that area.
Gotcha.
So that was an experience. That was yeah, there was a couple times I walked into the store and I was like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna go a couple miles down the road to get to the new store because this vibe in here just ain't working. And then Northern Virginia, and then PG County, and then yeah, actually Hartford County is a lot like the Panhandle, like the Panama City area. Now that I think about it,
Well, yeah, it has its parts. Like if you're not in like well actually if you're in certain parts of Edgewood, and I know what I'm talking about, but then
yeah,
definitely when you get to like
yeah,
Joppatown.
take Edgewood out, and we're talking like the Falston, um, like over towards Bethesda, Joppatown, like that Hartford County.
Oh yeah, for sure. They did. I mean, like as you know, there's some people that think that like the Confederacy won the Civil War. I don't know how. That's a thing. For some odd reason, when it comes to our white counterparts, they seem to like celebrate like the losers side, whether it's the Confederacy, whether it's the Trump flags that we still see out here, Cowboys fans. By the way, my boy Tyler in the comment section is a Cowboys fan, though he lives in California. We all found out about that. We wanted him to repent. Like, yeah, we all wanted him to repent. We're like, look, you don't believe in the Trinity, fine. You're a Cowboys fan. That's inexcusable. So he's over here in the comments.
Even any Cowboys fans in Dallas? Because every time I hear of a Cowboys fan, they're not from anywhere near Texas.
I don't know. But then again, the Giants and the Jets aren't even in New York. So I don't know.
Close enough.
Yeah, it is close enough. Like Jersey claims New York, but New York doesn't claim Jersey. Does that make sense?
That's big facts. That is big facts.
that's really, really big facts. So I guess like my next question is when did you get saved? That's one part of the question. So when did God make himself real to you in your life? And then on top of that, when did you realize, and we talked about this a couple of times, but just because the Black experience is not a monolithic experience, when did it click for you? In whatever one that chronological order comes sooner, you could touch on that. But when did it dawn on you that you were Black in this country? You know what I'm saying? And when did you pretty much come to the faith? And when you get to both of those, I'll ask you your follow-up question.
Okay. Well, that's two questions. When I get saved, because I have a retort is like, well, which time? Because I got saved.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Okay, so there's being saved and forgetting you're saved, or better yet, I guess like the better question is like, and in whatever one you want to answer, but like, when did God make himself real to you, and when did you decide that you wanted to cling on to him?
I was like 5, I think. That's as far back as I can remember. But no, I grew up, my family was very religious, very spiritual. My grandma, rest her soul, called me her preacher man, literally my entire life. Like she never called me Nate or Nathaniel unless I was in trouble. It was always her little preacher man. So as far back as I can remember, God was always real to me.
Gotcha.
And I always believed and accepted Christ as my savior. What was that other part? When did I realize I was Black in America? I can't honestly remember a time where I didn't know I was Black in America. I mean, they make it hard for you not to know that. So
I guess like the better question is like, especially for us as Black men, when did you like get the talk? You know what I'm saying? Like when was that moment that you stopped being a kid because you realized like what your skin meant in this country?
I was 7, or was I 8? 7 or 8, I remember. And just the typical, like a lot of us Black folk have story, playing, outside and playing cops and robbers and We're playing around with toy guns, and an older black gentleman, actually one of my friend's dads was like, "Yeah, y'all can't be doing that. Y'all too old to be doing that anymore." And we were like, "Well, why?" He had to explain it. And then I went home and I asked my parents, and they sat me down. They're like, unfortunately, because of the country we live in, like, you got to conduct yourself in a certain way because your skin color is perceived as a threat by some people in this country.
Hmm. And what did that like, I guess, like, a question I'm asking is like, what did that like do to you? Like, was it like an instantaneous thing, or was that like what did that do for you, like, mentally and emotionally?
Like, mentally, it was like, it definitely took a while for it to sink in, but it instantaneously, like, you stop being a kid. Like, you stop being a child, you stop feeling innocent, and you start thinking about the fact that, just being black might actually have harm come my way. So yeah, I was like 7 or 8, and it was like, all right, well, I don't want to stop having fun, but at the same time, like, I would get nervous if I, was in a group of, a bunch of my white classmates, and I was like one of the few black people there, and I was like, all right, well, this is uncomfortable because obviously I stick out like a sore thumb. But yeah, it takes away your innocence, and it doesn't let you just be a kid. Like, you're still a kid, but you're not a kid.
Yeah, I feel that, man. It's I tell people all the time, like, it like snuck up on me, just like as you were saying, like you were like playing around, stuff like that. I remember I was like whistling around the house, and my uncle told me, "Don't be whistling around white folks. You'll end up like your cousin Emmett." And I'm like,
"Oh,
you got a cousin Emmett?" And then I realized when he broke it down for me, he was talking about Emmett Till. And for me, like, and I don't know if you can kind of relate to this. For me, living the life, especially as a black man in this country, you like I always have to say, and people think like this is a hyperbole, but when I say like you don't get to live in this country, you have to survive in this country. And the way that we have survived is sometimes by these like bookmarks of like Black death. So whether it was Emmett Till over here, it was Rodney King over there. As time progressed, there are more names added to the list as cameras advance and everything like that. But I could definitely get how you feel, especially like that. You're always in a position of like being tense. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it totally makes. I was actually having a conversation with my friend, and I was telling them, like, even now, as a 33-year-old man, when I'm driving, if I pass a cop, like, I tense up and I start checking my rear view. And I've caught myself like, why am I doing this? Like, doing the speed limit, seatbelts on, I'm not swerving, but I'm still like tense. Like, all right, is he coming to get me? Like, did he turn his lights on? Is he following me? And a lot of Black people in this country do the same thing, where they'll pass a cop car and instantaneously just tense up. And don't let him turn his lights on and be behind you, because that'll give you a heart attack.
Yeah, man. Matter of fact, just yesterday, before my podcast yesterday, I was going to get some more juice, and I was at like a intersection of like flashing lights. It was weird because on one side I had to take a left to get to where I'm going. It was weird because like there was a car coming from my left side of the road. It was a cop car, and then on the right side of the road there was another cop car, but I had to go left. I was like, a part of me like froze up. I was like, I don't even know if I want to like drive anymore. Like, a part of me was just like, I just want to like back it up. And then when I took a left to get to where I was going to, there was this cop that was just like behind me. And like the whole time, though I was doing absolutely nothing wrong, like, man, I turned my music down. You understand me? It's like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I turned my music down. I don't really slouch because you know me, man. I got a bad back. So I'm like, I'm 3 and 9. You understand me? You laughing at my bad back. I'm gonna need you to talk to me nice. Okay,
you ain't
Black
even 30
man.
yet, bro. You ain't even 30 yet.
Hey, I had a slip disc when I was 14. That ruined it. You understand me? I didn't stand a chance. But so like I got my thumbs in the steering wheel. I'm 3 and 9. I'm making sure I'm within the double yellows and everything. And then when I finally turned and he kept going, on the road, like I like realized that I stopped breathing for like what felt like a minute. You know what I'm saying? And that like, and that's a terrifying feeling. Like, and then you realize, and I don't know about you, but then you realize how cold the air was because of like the amount of like sweat you just perspired and didn't even realize you were sweating. That's a terrifying feeling, man. And it's literally that's literally just from existing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I guess like the one thing that I want to like kind of dive into, and it's gonna like kind of circle into like these other questions that I have. So so I think you said you got into the military in 2010. So I don't know if I'm going to touch on that. Just actually, we can touch on that. We could touch on that. So you went to the military in 2010. How old were you at the time?
22.
So, okay, so 22. So you either like just finished up college, or I mean, I don't know what your educational
just got out these streets. That's what it was.
Okay. That's funny.
Nah, I was working. I was working like 2-3 jobs. I was living on my own. And I just got to the point where it's like, all right, I got to do something. Like, I'm either going back to school or I'm joining the military. Didn't want to go back to school, so military it was.
I didn't know if you were like froze. I didn't know if you had something else or you like
froze. Oh,
no. Now you're good. So you went in at 22. You went to the Air Force, and everything like that. And I guess like my next question is, because I've always been interested, and you know me, man. I come from I myself was not in the military, but I have tons of family. My biological dad was in the Air Force. Yes, I guess he was the smart one, if that's everybody else likes to put it. My grandfather was in the Army. I have cousins in all different branches and stuff. But there's this like, I guess like this weird tension that you get immediately going into the military. You know what I'm saying? So if you wanted to like kind of touch on that a little bit, like what does it mean for you, like going into the military, as a Black man in America? Not I'm trying to remember 2010. So this is like, I don't think Trayvon Martin happened just yet. If it did, I don't know. But like, what was that like for you starting this new chapter in your life going into the military?
So yeah, that's a tough one. And depending on what day you ask me, you'll get a different answer. Gotcha. I guess today the answer is going to be, the way I looked at it was, joining the military for me was a means to an end, almost. Like a lot of people have this rah-rah patriotic, like I'm joining the military to serve and this. And while that was a part of the reason why I joined, that wasn't the only reason. Like there's school benefits. It would be able to provide for a family. It was a good, stable job. And it would help me learn and would help me see the world. So I joined, and at times it does get hard during certain events. Trayvon Martin happened, because you got to realize the military is not just, it's literally, they'll take people from all over. So you have all kinds of different people who have different beliefs, different ideologies, different rationales, different mentalities in the military. And we all combine and mix together. And I will say it definitely gives you views into different perspectives and different ideas and ways of thinking. Some good, some bad, some smart, some stupid. But the military it's a melting pot. It's great. I will say one of the toughest times being in the military was probably last summer during the Black Lives Matter marches, because they had us go down there as, I don't even know what word they use when they sent us down there.
Stand guard, if I remember how you put it, last summer.
Something along those lines. Some fancy PR word that I forgot. And it was tough. It was hard because literally every single day I was out there, I would see somebody that I knew. whether it be family or a friend, on the literally on the other side of the line. So it's me as the line, friends and family on this side, and then law enforcement and other political parties behind me. And it felt, at some days it felt wrong. It felt like I should not be here. I should be on the other side. I should be marching, which I did. On the little bit of time that they gave us off, I would put on civvies and I would go down and I march, even when people didn't give me a heads up on when they would.
Man, I don't want to hear that. We ain't gonna do that because I found out that you were even there once I checked social media. So brother Nate's talk about the March on Washington. Are they doing that this year, by the way? I haven't seen anything like circulating on the news. They should be doing. I don't know. We've been through enough. Give us another and I'll drive us if that makes you feeling better. I know you like to say you want to take the train and everything like that, but brother, I'm not riding no subway or no train or no pandemic. I'm not doing it. You understand me? I can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. I can't do it.
All right. I respect it. I respect it.
I'm gonna see some things that I don't want to see, but that's besides the point.
I get you that.
I rode enough New York subways to know I definitely don't want to be in DC in the subway during a pandemic. No, thank you. But so that was something that what made me especially want to talk to you, and I'm gonna have other, not on this panel, but as this series progresses, other people that I'm close to that are in the military. It's funny that and you know this being a black man, and I know you're woke with a Coke with light ice and everything like that, but it's funny how in this country we know the term melting pot to be a microaggression. But it's funny how, and you and me have talked about this, but I know that for you in the military, you said that. And I remember we talked about this a couple times, though you know it to be true yourself. You've had to tone down your blackness while being in a uniform, because though you are a black man, they tell you you're an American first, or better yet, you are a soldier first, but you know to yourself and you know true to your heart, you are a black man first. Tell us a little bit about what that's like, having to I guess suppress, water down your blackness and everything like that, especially with all this stuff that that continues to happen through the years.
It gets me in trouble a lot because I don't. So I get in trouble a lot because there's a difference between asking me to be professional and then asking me to tone down my blackness, because that's exactly what it is sometimes. I can be professional. I know how to be professional. I know how to, have conversations and be professional. That's all day, every day. I'll do that. Superior officers, I know I talk to them a certain way that I don't talk to my trainees. I talk to my trainees differently than how I would talk to my supervisor. But that's me being professional. Now, don't ever, and some people have made this mistake and have found out the hard way, try and turn that into asking me not to be black, because I'll tell you one thing real fast is that uniform comes off real quick. So don't think because I'm wearing my uniform and I got my patches and my stripes on that you come out of pocket and you say something wrong, that jacket's not coming off, and now you're no longer dealing with Technical Sergeant Small, and now you're dealing with Nate Small, the 33-year-old black man who's been in America for 33 years as a black man. Don't get it twisted, because that switch is like that. So it has gotten me in trouble once or twice, or 12, but we're not keeping count. But got it. But I have talked to younger airmen, and it comes with experience. Because I have talked with younger Black people who are in the military who don't have that kind of, because they're worried about their career. They're just starting off and they're like, well, I gotta, keep my mouth shut, keep my head down, and, walk a fine line and this, that, and the third. And, for a lot of them, it's tough. I have been lucky enough that the unit that I served with, I had a lot of mentors that looked like me that would always have my back. So I never felt like I had to keep my head down, because I had, my mentors, my big brothers that were serving. And that's why I try to do now for the younger airmen of color. And even if they're not in the Air Force, just military period, or just black people, period, I should say, young black men. Like I try and be that person to where it's like, don't let them tell you that you have to tone down your blackness. Like you be who you're gonna be. Don't let them define what your blackness is. And you know, as long as you're being true to yourself, chips are gonna fall where they're gonna fall.
Facts. But I think that then it's kind of funny. So like it's something I never really considered before, but after talking to like people like other POCs within the military and everything like that, there seems to be like this weird, and I don't know if you can speak to this or if you have your own thoughts on this. There seems to be like this weird like recruitment process where they target like black and brown communities, especially like if they're impoverished and everything like that. And most of these kids, like as you were just saying, like, you know, most of these kids coming from like, you know, nothing essentially. I'm not saying that applies to you, but like coming from nothing and being in these environments in which they already have PTSD before going into the military. But then they're going to go fight for the country and probably get a different type of, I'll call it a different strand, a different flavor of PTSD. What are your thoughts about, like, it seems like they tend to like target like black and brown communities to go and fight for a country in a lot of cases, as we've seen, that doesn't fight for them. I don't know if you could speak to that at all.
It's a conversation that gets had. It's a conversation that has been brought up, and it does get brought up. It's one of those things where, and you hit it on the head. Like if I go to a neighborhood where a kid literally has had to been working since he was 16 or something to help his mom and dad pay bills, and I go to him and be like, look, you sign this piece of paper and I'll give you $20,000. You ain't gonna find too many of them that are gonna say no. They don't tell you what that $20,000 comes attached with. And most of those kids, even if you did tell them, they're not gonna listen. All they're gonna hear is, you're going to give me $20,000 that I can use to help my family. I'm going to take that. So it is something that is talked about. And, you know, I have my feelings on it. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds about it, but it is,
Gotcha.
It is a known thing, and it is something that gets talked about and has been addressed within the ranks, especially between of people of color. That it's known.
It's I think that, like I said, I never like thought about this until like talking to brother Mike that used to go to same church as we do, Mike Robinson, and it's kind of weird, and like there's like this like, and like I said, I know you probably can't talk too much about it, but there's like this like predatory like mentality that goes into that. It's just like, hey, you've been fighting in a war your whole life. You know, I always say that like we were born in a war we didn't start, but like we you know, you were already raised militant. You know what I'm saying? Like as we just talked about, we were born to survive in this country, not live. It's like, come on, do that for us. The only difference is we'll pay you. You know what I'm saying? There's a weird type of like, I guess like there's a weird like predatory like mindset that goes into that, where it's just like, you know, you already like push these people in these communities. You push these people in communities in which that, you know, historically was damaged because of white supremacy and the ways of this country, from the CIA putting crack cocaine in our communities to fund their illegal wars and everything. And then you're taking these, I guess like this, I don't want to say dysfunctional because it sounds dehumanizing. But I would say like these people that have been shook in a sense. And then you're like, oh, bet now that we know that you can handle tense environments, come on and go ahead and fight for our country. Come on and fight for dear old Uncle Sam. But what they don't tell you, or better yet, as that paper says, it's like, yeah, you get $20,000, but you're also signing away like 90% of your rights. You know what I'm saying? That's when you become property all over again, essentially. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
To an extent. This is what I always tell the younger soldiers and airmen that come in, is use the military as much as they're going to use you. So you sign up to join the military, whether you want to believe it or not, like, get the idea. They're gonna use you. You're gonna get used, but don't let it just be a one-way street. For as many times and as many things as the military has put on to me and made me do, and asked of me, I'm for damn sure getting something out of them. Like I'm literally getting paid to go to school. Like I go to school, they pay me a certain amount, I pay my classes, and I pocket the rest of the money. So you're paying me to go to school. They send me all over the world to travel, to go do missions and assignments in other places. Best believe when I'm out there, any free time I get, I'm using it to go explore these other cultures and these other places. Benefits, health benefits. Like if I get a stubbed toe in the morning when I wake up and I hit my side end dresser, I'm gonna go to the doctor because they're paying for it. So I'm gonna use that benefit. Like I get a cough or my throat gets a little scratched, I'm gonna go to the doctor because they're giving me those benefits. So I'm gonna use those benefits. So yeah, that's what I tell young kids. Like, don't come in and do however much time, whether it's 4 years, 6 years, or you do a whole 20 years. Like, make sure in that time frame that you're getting something out of it and you're just not giving yourself away.
Gotcha. And that I think that's and I remember I want to say it was, if I remember this correctly, it was maybe 2 years ago you got deployed to, I think you were in Korea, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
In Korea. Yep. You got deployed to Korea. Talk a little bit just about how like the traveling and everything, as you just said, you've you've been to these different countries and you've been able to like see their cultures, not just from like what TV shows you and the stereotypes that media likes to pocket and everything and commercialize off of, but tell us about like what that traveling experience was like for you, not just the Korean one, but like if you can like sum up, how did that impact you and shape you into the person that you are today?
I've seen both good and bad. I've seen how in some places it's not much different than here in a lot of ways. I'll give you an example. Australia. The native people of Australia are treated, for lack of a better word, and excuse my friend, they're treated like shit. Like the Aborigine people of Australia, they're treated like trash over there by the Australians. Like they're not allowed into their towns or their cities. They're not allowed into their stores after a certain hour. They're restricted from buying certain things. The Australians talk about them like they're animals. Like it's bad. So I've seen bad, but then on the flip side, Guam, Korea, the people there, they're nice. They're always smiling. They're helpful. Like people are just thankful for what they have. And so yeah, I've seen both, and it's opened my eyes because I go to these places and I'll read about them, and actually reading about something and then going and actually laying your eyes on it and looking at it. Like there is a temple on the side of a mountain in Korea that you literally have to climb up the mountain to get to, that we climbed up there. And there's that experience alone, right. Like just being out there and seeing like what people are capable of, it's inspiring. It inspires you.
So I'm gonna pick your brain about this. It just popped up to my head as we're talking about traveling and stuff. The shop, one of LeBron James is like, many things that he has and he has his hands in. He has this show called The Shop, and he had Snoop Dogg on there, and they were talking about how for him, like, his reach, his music is legendary. It pretty much raised some of us and everything like that. Him going to overseas, people love him and everything like that. One of the things that he said was, I get so much love overseas in Europe and everything like that. He said, and I don't like using the term African American. I like the term Americans of African descent, because if I go to another country, I need to be an American first before I am an African American, because it comes off like they saying like I don't really own my citizenship. But he said that, he said, I'm quoting him, he said, African Americans get treated better in other countries than they do America. How do you feel about that? Because I don't know if you felt that specifically for you.
It depends. Honestly, I think it depends. So I'll say in Australia, it almost seemed condescending at times how nice they were being. Because I would just look at how they would interact with me and then my white counterparts, and it's kind of like, okay, you're being overly nice to me. Like, maybe that's just how you are, but like it just feels off. And so I think what's the best way to put it? I think it's one of those things where they assume and they think because of probably how we are treated here that they have to be extra nice to us when we're in other places. It's either that or they're just complete pricks and, let it be known like, yeah, we don't like you here either. Like there was a couple places in Korea that, they would tell you straight up like, no, you're not allowed here at all. But that's more so because you were American and not because I was Black. So maybe that's not the greatest of examples.
Gotcha.
No, I will say, at least in my experiences, I haven't had too many bad experiences in foreign lands. But I like to keep to myself. So maybe that's why I didn't run into any issues or any problems.
Gotcha. And this kind of leads into how you and me came to be. So my story. I grew up, addict by 10 years old. I was alcoholic by 10, what I'm saying. Stopped drinking at 18, got incarcerated, came home at 19. I started going to Riverside Community Church, where former member of and everything like that. David McGee, shout out to David McGee in
What up,
Seattle.
Dave?
You know what I'm saying? He was the leader of this like men's Bible study group, or just men's group, we'll call it that. And I was one of like I think it was like three, I guess we'll call them kids, three of the younger members that came from Dynasty, you know what I'm saying, the like college age youth group. It's kind of weird to call it that, but I kind of get it anyway. So I remember when I first came to, like, I guess it was like, I don't even want to say it was like y'all recruiting class, but I remember you and me weren't really that close at the time. And everything. But, we've been Facebook friends because for some odd reason, people equate fellowship to I added you on Facebook. So we're clearly in fellowship as Christians. And, I was, I'm still kind of like navigating in my faith and everything like that. And I remember like you and me clicked like immediately because you were like, I think you said, hey, you were like, a Jordan. For those that don't know, Jordan is my actual name and everything. But you were like, Jordan, if you ever want to just like watch a Knicks game or anything like that, or a Giants game, I got you. And I like, my eyes lit up for two reasons. One, I was like, yes, somebody that understands my depression. But for me, it was like, I guess for me, it was nice to like, it was awesome to have like, and it was still kind of frightening for me because I had trust issues, obviously, coming into like these new circles and spaces and everything like that. But it was awesome for me because it was a moment in which somebody saw me and then they took the time to see something that I'm interested with. Not so much force themselves to relate, but you let me know off rip. And this was probably the first time we actually talk, because we would play basketball and stuff when we would go over like people's houses and we would hoop and everything like that. But for me, I think that was like the beginning as far as like our relationship and stuff like that. I don't know if you wanted to, well, actually you are going to talk about it because you're on the podcast, but tell us a little bit about like, I guess like just that moment.
Yeah, so I had actually not been going to that church for that long. My ex and her family, that was the church they went to. And I went there, and I remember David McGee, brother David, was one of the first people that like took time out and was like introduced himself, got to know me, invited me to the men's group. I started going to the men's group, formed that bond with him, and just in talking with him. And I remember actually we were talking about the Dynasty young, people coming in the meeting before you guys actually came, and Brother David actually brought you up by name, and I was like, okay. So when you showed up, I was like, I put name to face.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's Jordan. And then I found out you were a Knicks fan. I was like, oh well, I mean, how many people at that time? We were terrible. We were trash.
I'm trying to think. 2015.
Yeah.
I think we still had Melo. Yes.
Yeah,
We still had
but we were
Melo.
trash. We were
Yeah,
trash.
we were bad. We were bad at that time.
We won like 25 games a season. So I was like, oh, so this brother clearly, like, he stands on principle. Because if you openly saying you're a Knicks fan at this time and like like you're not ashamed of that, like, oh, we in there. So I remember, yeah, we talked, we got to chatting. Then I found out, like, oh, this brother, like, not only into Knicks, like, he's into anime, he's into comics, all that nerd stuff. I was like, oh, this is money, because that's the stuff I'm into. You know. So I remember, and just from there, that the bond just organically grew, and it wasn't like forced. It wasn't like we both were like trying to make it happen. It was just God was like, all right, I'm gonna place you here and I'm gonna place you here. Y'all gonna connect and y'all gonna build a bond and a brotherhood. And you know, that built over the years. And then I went through some turbulent, like some real bad times. And I remember, and I've told you this before, like, you're literally one of two people from that entire congregation that actually reached out to me and would talk to me during my rough patch. Most everybody else is kind of just like, all right, we're going to pray for you, Brother Nate. We're going to, you know, hope you get better and, you know, God's going to pull through. But y'all would talk to me, not just about, I want to get the BS, I'm going to pray for you, which a lot of people did. Y'all were actually like in the trenches with me, like, what's going on? How you feeling? Like, how's life? What's going on? And so that meant a lot. And then I know you went through your rough patch same way I did. Not too long after I left. And I remember we would talk about it, about how when we were up, it seemed like we were in the circle, if you will. You know, we were part of that little circle that clicked. But the minute we went down, it was like, well, damn, like, I thought I was your brother. I thought this was a family, but clearly we have different definitions of what family is. So yeah, that's pretty much our relationship. Started off as being, you know, depressed Knicks fans, depressed Giants fans, because the Giants were terrible at the time too, weren't they?
I think this was the year after the legendary like OBJ catch. You know what I'm saying? It was like the year after that.
Yeah, so we were like 8-8. But yeah, so that's how we clicked, that's how we bonded, and just from there it's just been steady as she goes.
And so I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. I've talked about this publicly on my platform before. So like, you know, this was right around the time that I found out that like my girlfriend at the time was cheating on me. And I remember, and you know this to be true, like sometimes when it comes to Christians, it's like, as you said, we're good at speaking churchanese, but we're not good at like really talking to people, I would say. And sometimes like I felt like a lot of times like people said stuff to like make them feel better, but not make me feel better.
Yeah,
you were and I remember like I was just in like sad boy mode, yo. Like I remember like like, you know, I was dropping like song lyrics that describe my mood, everything like that. I was just mad emo on like in my public witness was mad emo at the time. And I remember it just took you just like texting me, you know what I'm saying? You were just like, yo, you good? And don't hit me with that generic, oh, you know, God is good all the time, so I'm good all the time. But like for real, like nigga, are you all right? Like, do we need to fill me in about that? I just remember during a time period where I was battling, like, you know, I had to go to the hospital. I started going to therapy right around that time. And I just remember it was like you were one of the people that, not so much like as you said, like talking to me and praying on me and everything is one thing, but you were like, yo, look, man, it don't gotta sound dignified. I need you to know, like, I'm here for you, and you don't gotta sound righteous. You can be as ratchet as possible. If you gotta drop as many bombs you need to do that. But I felt like for me, that was like that. I felt like that, like, if there was any doubt that you and me would be cool from then, like, then that's like what solidified me as far as my trust goes with you. And if you don't, I mean, we don't have to go into like what led to like what everything that happened in on your side. And I kind of want to laugh about this because I think I texted you about this. I felt super bad, but it was right around the time you were like going through something and you needed prayer. And I just remember grabbing like the holy oil and like you about to laugh about this. But I remember getting some holy oil and I didn't realize like how much of the drop came out. And like my hands were just like my hands were just dripping, son, of holy oil. My hands smelled like cinnamon, you know what I'm saying? And I just remember I was praying for you, but like, you know, you're like crying and everything like that. Not to like make fun of you, but I remember I'm laying hands on you, and there's just like there's literally like so much like oil, just like I'm like, oh my god, it's going into his shirt. It's messing up his shirt. I think you were wearing a white shirt too. I was damn it. I was like, damn it, like this is just not looking good at all, yo. I was like, he's probably thinking, I appreciate the words this brother's saying, but what is this hot sensation on the back of my neck? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if you wanted to like kind of talk about like, and without going in, if you know, you could talk about as much as you want to talk about, but like talk a little bit about like what you were going through emotionally and spiritually at that moment in time. If you feel compelled to share.
No, for real. So at the time, me and my ex, we were going through a really rough part of our marriage. Really rough, really tough. And it was difficult. Like there'd be days where we wouldn't speak like at all. Mind you, we have kids. So think about the fact that two people, husband and wife, that have kids go an entire day and don't say more than 2 words to each other. So we weren't talking much. We would go to church on Sunday and put on the fake, you know, like, yeah, we're persevering and we're getting through it. But like, then we would leave church and literally she'd stay on one side of the house, I'd stay on the other side of the house type deal. It was bad. Things at work were rough because obviously my home was in disarray. So I, you know, would wake up late, wouldn't be getting to work on time. That caused issues. And I was just down bad. And I remember one time, and this is kind of when I knew, at least for me, that I was like, all right, I can't, like this place is obviously not the place for me to get better. As I remember, I talked with one of the members and I was telling them about, you know, the issues me and my ex were having. And I was just like, you know, I'm trying to live by the word. I'm trying to live right and you know, live as one, be husband and wife, but be one under God. And I remember him telling me like, no, that don't matter. It doesn't matter what she does. Like, you're the head of the house. Like, just go pray about it. And whatever God tells you to do, go do that. I was like, and this is the thing that always upset me about how a lot of church people act. It's like, while I am a child of God, I'm not God. So don't expect me to always be able to just be like, you know what? I know that things are hard and things are rough, but I'm just gonna keep a good spirit. Like, no, I get down sometimes. I get in mood sometimes. Things get bad for me, and not your answer to me shouldn't always be like, well, do you want to pray about it? Let's pray about it. Like no, like I don't want to pray about it. Like I want to be pissed off. I want to be upset. I want to be sad. You know, I don't always have to be holy and righteous. I try to be, but you know, that don't always happen. Sometimes I just want to slap the shit out of somebody. That's just like, I'm not going to, but I get that feeling sometimes, and don't, you know, just sit with me with that. And that's one thing that I appreciated you and Brother David and Brother Tim, is that a lot of times when we talk, like, it would start with, well, how are you doing spiritually? And then that might be the last time we talk about something spiritual. And then we would just talk about life. And, that's what pulled me through. So I'll go back to, like, I had a really bad problem with painkillers when I was like 19. Got off those. Thought about taking them during that time. But, just your walk especially kind of kept me on that straight and narrow. Where it's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay straight. I'm going to get through this in a better way than just numbing myself. And so during that time, and it's ironic because I look back on it, and Brother David actually mentioned this to me while I was in the midst of it. He was like, you're going through this and you're dealing with this because at some point your testimony and what you're dealing with is going to help somebody else out. So then once I went through the separation and me and my ex got divorced, not too long after that is when you started going through your thing. And so I was like, I get it now. I wasn't trying to be the one to come and save you, but at the same time, having been through that, I know the emotions you're feeling. Because there was a couple times where you sent me some texts at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You were talking some fire. And I was just like, all right, that's cool. Like, don't feel bad about feeling like that. I get it. I felt the same way. And sometimes that's what you need, is somebody to tell you it's okay for you to feel like being spicy.
And I think like the one thing that I thanked him like numerous times, and I still all the time, is, as you said, like, it's okay to get into the word. And a lot of people like to get out of pocket with this. It's like they give you I don't know how to describe it, like with a lot of Christians, and this comes with my reservations of like how people disciple one another. It's like they give you the word and they tell you to apply it, but they don't want to spend time to see where the brokenness runs in your life, and how sometimes, because I don't even have somebody to address this brokenness with, it's hard for me to even want to hear the word right now. That's basically what I was hearing you say, because I think for me, it was like, yeah, you and me, we talk Bible stuff and everything like that, but we talk about like each other's personalities. We talk about things that pique our interest. We talk about things that we love. We talk about the things that we hate. We talk about the things that we get joy out of, and we talk about things that rob us of that joy. I felt like for me in my walk, it was like, okay, cool. Christians aren't robots. You know what I'm saying? Like but a lot of us like to like give off that persona that we're like walking on water. And yes, Peter walked on water and stuff like that, but Peter went through some too, you know what I'm saying? And that's why, like, I feel like sometimes when it comes to like Christians, when we try to act perfect all the time, we end up dehumanizing one another and otherizing one another. And it's hard to like really be there for your brother or your sister, because we're trying to tell them you got to be perfect and this is how you be perfect, but you're not willing to take the time to, how do I say it, you're not willing to get to know my broken side. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does. It's funny you said something very similar to what I've kind of lived by. It's like, so many people talk about God can get you through anything, God can push, and that is 1,000% true. But then they try to confine how you talk and speak to God into what's in the Bible. So if it doesn't match up perfectly with a scripture or something that's in there, like, oh, well, that doesn't fit, go read this. It's like, no, like, God speaks. And when he speaks, it's not always exactly cookie cutter and presented to you exactly how the Bible or a preacher or someone praying to you would present it. Sometimes it's literally, hey, let's talk about the Knicks. You were having a bad day and we're talking about the Knicks, and now you're not having a bad day because you're talking about something that you have a passion for, something that you enjoy, an interest. I did not one time say anything biblical or scripture to you, but just me talking to you about something that you have an interest in has now lifted your spirits. And now you're in a better mood to when you do go back to read your Bible. Because I don't know about other people. I know me personally, I try not to, but if I'm in a bad mood, my prayer game sucks. Like if I'm in a bad mood, if I'm feeling sad or depressed, like I'll try and pray, but like literally I can feel myself as I'm praying, like in my head, like man, still feeling bad, but I'm gonna pray. Still feeling bad. And I'm still gonna pray, but like I don't know anybody who goes into a situation and says, you know what, I'm feeling depressed. I want somebody to come basically scold me, which I feel like a lot of religious folk, I'm not even going, like a lot of religious folks, that's what they do with scripture. They're not trying to correct you or show you love. They're trying to discipline you, be like, oh, well, if you just do what this verse says, then your life wouldn't be looking the way it looks. And it's like, excuse me, ma'am. Like, first off, your wig is crooked, so get out my face. Second off, I didn't need you to come tell me where I'm going bad in life. Like, I do that enough on my own. Like, I just needed you to tell me that it's okay that I'm not doing the best.
Yeah, because I think like sometimes what we end up doing is like, especially when it comes to like how we disciple one another, like I don't know how many times when like I talk about like mental health, especially in like Christian spaces, I tell them I'm having a bad day. Oh, and brother, like I told you, I found out like 2 years ago, but it makes sense. But like, I have bipolar disorder. There's some days I could do absolutely nothing wrong. And I'm like, man, I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like I just do, like, it's just, and I could do nothing wrong. I could sleep well. I could be doing everything in which that I did to, steward that and everything be right. But I could just be in a bad place. You tell some Christians that they're like, man, what's wrong with you? You need to pray that demon off of you and everything like that. I'm like, why do I have to do something wrong for me to not feel right? You know what I'm saying? And we saw that with the book of Ecclesiastes, where you could be doing all these things. You could be like, and even like, Paul suffered the whole, like he was the most published author, but he was known as the suffering servant, the suffering author in the Bible. Why do you think when it comes to like mental health, especially when it comes to like Christian, just like religious institutions, where we equate you being in a bad way mentally or emotionally, we equate that to lack of faith, or you are not within proximity of God? Why do you think that is?
Honest answer. And this might rub people a little wrong way, but I don't care, because it's the easier thing to do. It's easy to say, oh, that person's acting this way because they're not right with God, or that person's feeling this way because their walk's off, or they're not good in their spirit, as opposed to just saying, this person is feeling this way because they're feeling this way. Now, what can I do to help? Because it's easy to just write it off as, like you said, oh, get that demon off you, and then they walk away. Well, no, it wasn't a demon. I was having a bad day. It has nothing to do with me having a demon. But you now making me feel that way might actually put something on me. Now my negative energy that was just simply because I got caught at a red light when I was trying to get to Krispy Kreme because the hot light was on. Now I'm having a bad day because somebody that I went to for, just someone to vent to basically told me that I'm doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's easier to blame it on somebody else or something else or the other person than just to say like, okay, this person's having a bad day. What can I do to help? Because then at that point, now you actually have to get in the mud with them. It's kind of like how when people walk by, and I do this all the time at work. Like, how often do people walk by and ask, how are you doing? And literally keep walking.
Whoo, boy, that bugs the piss out of like.
So what I do,
go ahead.
what I do is every now and again, like if somebody walks by and they ask me how I'm doing and I can tell they're disingenuous about it, I'll just be like, well, I'm feeling really down. I don't really see a reason to keep going, and see whether or not they stop. Because then at that point, it's like they stop and then they're stuck because it's like, well, damn, if I keep walking, then I'm going to feel guilty about this. But if I stop, now I have to actually listen to whether or not this person's feeling bad. And you'll be surprised how many people just keep walking.
Oh man, I don't know how many times, like, and I learned this oddly enough, even though I'm, former alcoholic and I was a bartender at one point, or when I was working at 7-Eleven, you ask somebody how you doing. Don't get mad when they tell you. Like I've had a couple of times in which I've asked somebody how they were doing and they just came to get cigarettes at my store. But then it turned into, man, I'm gonna get a pizza and tell you about how I'm feeling. And I'm just, I'm serious, but I gotta sit there and like even though my job says serve them and everything, but like I think it's one thing when it's like bad when it comes to like when the world acts like this, but for you in like Christian circles, you know what I'm saying? It's like we should be the one to ask, are you okay? And if they hit us with a generic, yeah, sure. But then we should want to follow up and be like, hey, are you sure? Are you sure you're all right? I see you got the armor on, but are you bleeding underneath that armor? You know what I'm saying? And I think what a lot of it is, and I'm gonna be honest, I think it's out of obligation when people ask you how you're doing. I feel like they just didn't want to look like a dick because they were just like, they walked by you, didn't acknowledge you or anything. But then like they'll see you in public, be like, hey, how you doing? And still walking. I'm like, hey, I'm like, that's fine. I'm 6 months behind on rent. It's just okay. All right, you gotta go. All right, bet. That's just great. But there's a certain level of like, there's a certain level of like distrust that gets sown in, especially when it comes to like Christians that do this. Because then you're like, damn, if they gonna do me like this, how can I expect anybody that doesn't know Jesus to treat me any better? You know what I'm saying? Right. For sure.
No, yeah, that's real. That's real. Yeah, it's crazy. I actually found that, and it sounds terrible. Like a lot of religious folk will write you off sooner than a stranger will.
Facts.
People that you literally are supposed to be fellowshipping with will write you off quicker than a stranger on the street, which is wild, and it's crazy. Yeah. And here's another thing: the minute your ideals and your principles don't align with theirs, that's when you truly see how serious they are about calling you brother or calling you sister. Because especially with the last old boy who was up in office, a lot of folks that I thought were one way truly showed their ass and showed their colors once they started thinking it was okay to act a certain way. People who would give you the impression that, they're as Christian as can be, love for all, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, wait a minute, you don't actually mean that as, can I help you? Oh.
Hey, sorry, dog or your kid?
No, my dog. No, I'm just gonna smack my kid.
I mean, I don't know, black man, whatever. Hey, man, spit around, spoiled the child. I was just like, what is Owen doing up at 9:52? That's crazy.
Well, I wouldn't do it on camera because then you got evidence. No, I would have stepped
Don't worry, brother. Hey, man, anything you say or do on here and you want me to edit it out, I got you. But yeah, that's funny. Oh man, but yeah, yo. So like, I wanted to like dig in that a little bit. So like, last year we had. I always tell people we went through two different periods last year, especially as men of color. Like we went through the pandemic last year, and then we went through the clandemic last year. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And yeah, so like, we're all closed in, especially as like Christians and stuff. We, we're not going to church, or at least we're not going to buildings and everything like that. and you see like, oh, the church isn't closed, it's deployed. You know what I'm saying? That I loved when that meme was flying around, especially within our old stomping grounds. But then right, facts. But then like stuff started to happen. So like Ahmaud Arbery happened in February of last year, but the video didn't surface until May, around this time last year, if I'm not mistaken. And then we with what happened with Breonna Taylor, and then George Floyd. Tell me a little bit about like what that period of time was like, being, I guess, like separated meaning like we're not being able to have like meeting grounds as far as like the church goes. But tell me about what that was like in isolation, like for you as a Black man, and even in the faith, where you're seeing like these, like, I don't like to say monumental moments of Black death, because then it kind of diminishes the fact of like the life that was still lost, that they weren't as monumental. But tell me a little bit about like what that was like for you going through that period in time last year.
So actually for me, not much changed, because I was still going to work. Like I have not stopped going to work since COVID started. They switched our schedules around a little bit to try and offset people interacting, but I was still going to work. But what I'll say is last year, a lot of it was, I was either angry and pissed off, depressed and numb, or just somewhere in between. Like there would be some days where I literally would just be like walking in the fog, because it seemed like the minute that you not even process, but the minute that you seem to be getting okay with what happened with one life, another one would get lost, and then you'd start all over again, and then you'd go through that, and then another one would happen, and it was always people that looked like me and you, to the point where like you could almost see yourself in those pictures. Like you can almost see yourself as being George Floyd, or you could see a relative being Breonna Taylor, and I could go on name after name after name, but just it was just to the point where like it was just too much. Like I can remember, I think it might have even been on one of these pods we were talking about just the fact like there's some days where you just get overwhelmed and you're just like, I can't do it anymore. Like I just need to literally take this day, unplug, and not look at any news or anything else, because I'm gonna see something. And people think it's slow. It's still happening. That's the crazy thing. Like it's still happening. There's still every other day something else happens to where you're looking at it and you're just like, how does this keep happening? And so last year, how did I get through it? Aside from just, prayer and trying to focus on one thing at a time. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. It was literally a day by day thing. If I told you that I made it through 2020 unscathed, I'd be lying to you. There were a couple days where I know for a fact that I did not have it in me, and one small move this way or that way could have completely altered how my year went. But yeah, 2020 was rough. 2021 ain't starting off all that better in terms of just how things are society wise. But I will say 2020, I made therapy a consistent thing, to where like I've been to therapy before, but now it's every Monday therapist. And that is truly, truly, truly helped, because sometimes it's literally me in there for 45, 50 minutes just venting.
Yeah, I feel that. I remember as we were going through all that. Hey, E, what's up over here watching in the background? But I remember for me, I think I texted you, if I'm not mistaken, when the video of Ahmaud Arbery surfaced, and I had two things to say. One, I was, obviously pissed off and angry and like super depressed after what happened with Ahmaud Arbery, and like it, and then like I think like the crazy thing about like that one is the fact that like the video was the first time like I saw it, and also the first time I heard about it. So it was the realization in which this happened in February. The video didn't surface until May, and then I can't sugarcoat it, but the niggas that killed him were just at home watching like Ozark. You know what I'm saying? Like it was that, and it was like, wait, so they're still home. You know what I'm saying? Like they get to live their everyday normal lives. They're locked in on quarantine, just like the rest of us, binge watching TV and everything. Getting DoorDash from 7-Eleven, which I didn't realize you could do. That's kind of weird. Who the hell wants to order a taquito from 7-Eleven? That's besides the point. I don't know. I'm not that depressed. You understand me? But I think like that was crazy. And I just remember like I was texting you. I was just like, so like once again, like the two things that made me mad about that was like the fact that this video just surfaced, and though it happened 3 months ago, and then that's when we decide we were going to do something about it, or better yet, that's when the Atlanta officials were like, okay, we got to pick these dudes up. But then like the church's responses. So when I say that, like the people we went to church with, how they were like, I will say respond, because there's a difference between reacting and respond. When you respond to something, you have to ponder on it. When you react, it's a reflex. But I don't know if you've seen anything, but like talk a little bit about that. Like what was that doing to you, knowing that like your brothers and sisters in the faith are voicing what they're voicing, and then looking at, and then like knowing within yourself what you are going through? Talk a little bit about that.
I want to say I was surprised. I want to say that it shocked me, but to be 100% honest with you, it didn't. I wasn't shocked. I wasn't surprised. I deleted quite a few people off of my IG and my Facebook simply because I was like, yeah, I don't need this. Because there was a couple of days where I would get on Facebook and I would see somebody had posted a meme about something. And I was just like, whoa, that I'm trying to remember the meme it was, because I remember me and you talked about it, and they had posted a meme about something, and you had made a comment about like, you're calling yourself a Christian, but this is the kind of stuff you're posted, and they tried to defend it.
Oh, I know what I'm talking about, and I got no problem talking about this on my podcast, because this is my podcast. And if you want to smoke, on my podcast, and you want to debate me about it, it costs $2 to give you 2 cents in the Patreon. That's the only way you're gonna get access to me. But it was one of like the members of the inner circle of, I'm just gonna name it. I don't care. I've already like aired it out on here, but like it was one of the members of the inner circle of Pastor Jason's like clique, I would say. I think it was Dwayne. It was Dwayne Gostomski. Yeah, it was that situation in which his kid posted something. It was a truck that had blood all over it, and the caption read, just drove through Minnesota, talking about what happened in Minnesota after George Floyd. Didn't see any protesters, and there's blood all over the hood of the car.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And I remember hitting you up, and I was like, okay, Nate Dogg, I'm pissed off about this, but I'm trying to be Christian. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm about to black on them like Sora in Kingdom Hearts, but I gotta be Christian when I approach them about this. That's what I think that was the situation in which we were talking about.
Yeah. So, and that's not the first time I've seen something like that from, some people within that church. So I wasn't surprised by it. I was a little saddened by it, because I was thinking to myself, like, damn, like, you have Black members that go to your church. I used to be one of them, and this is how you feel. How are you going to look them in the eye now? How are you going to look them in the face and say, like, you don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and just the silence of a lot of them, and they were kind of like, I remember I remember one conversation I had with a person from there, and they were like, don't be so outspoken, don't, be that out there with it, because like, what would God think? Like, God commanded you to respect authority and things like that. I'm like, whoa, 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 like, let's not get it twisted. Like, wrong is wrong, sin is sin. I don't care what position you're in.
Facts.
Like, if it's wrong, I'm gonna call it out. I don't care what position you hold of authority or whatever. Like, no, like, I'm not gonna sit here and hide behind that scripture and say, well, I'm not gonna say anything because that's not within his kingdom. No, everything is within his kingdom. So don't try and separate and be like, if you're passionate enough to speak on one issue, then keep that same energy with all those other ones. Because you'll talk about drug use and how there's methadone clinics and all this other stuff popping up in Hartford County all day, every day. Be loud and demonstrative and boisterous about, if they just knew the power of Jesus, we wouldn't need all these things. Homosexuality, you'll be loud and out front about that. Abortion, we can go on the list. But then we get to Black Lives Matter and you're silent. So what are you telling me at that point? You're telling me that,
well, they're telling you all lives matter, Nate Dogg. You know that. That's what they're telling you. Like, they're saying all lives matter.
But like that meme says, like, all right, cool. If my house is on fire and yours is not, that doesn't mean your house doesn't matter. It means my damn house is on fire. Like, don't get pissed that I'm calling for the fire department to come here, and then when they show up, you're like, well, why are they only here for your house? Well, ma'am, my house is the only one on fire. If they put the fire out here, cool. They can go worry about getting your cat out of the tree. But no, it's just like, when you're claiming to be Christian, but then you're silent, like, on an issue of just saying that Black Lives Matter, and you have a problem with saying Black Lives Matter. I mean, and it's funny because you'll spend all day preaching about God left the 99 to go get the one, and then here it is, prime example, Black Lives Matter is the one, but you're talking about the 99.
I think like the one thing that's probably, and like I wanted to talk about this because it kind of plays into like, and this will be interesting for our audience, because I have people that are saved and aren't saved, but especially for like men and women of color that they're called to be disciples of Christ. And David McGee had a lot to do with this for me. But we're constantly having to reconcile with us being, especially us being Black men, having to reconcile with the fact that we are Christians and we're Black. And then, we saw how, historically, how they took freedom out of the Bible to justify why they had slaves. They love to quote Martin Luther King when it's like the third Monday of every January, but they don't even really know that Martin Luther King was born on January 15th. They love to Santa Claus the good Negroes, but won't touch on the fact that like Martin Luther King was the most hated man in America at one point. You know what I'm saying? They made him the most hated man in America. They love to quote him when it comes to like talking about, the peaceful sides of him, but they never want to touch on like the radical side of him. And I think with figures like
Martin has some thug in him.
For sure. But the thing is, like, when I say that is like we saw that he was problematic for two reasons. One, he was fighting for civil rights, and two, he was big on decolonizing his faith and constantly deconstructing his faith. And I felt like, especially last year, we were all like, I feel like all Christians were in a season of deconstructing their faith because they realized like, oh, in the earlier writings of the church, they didn't even have a building to meet up in. So we don't need a building to be a Christian. But for people of color, you got to decolonize and take some things off of you, because white supremacy is sewn into the fabric of our institutions. Like, that's what I feel like we were all realizing. It's like a lot of us were deconstructing, yes, but for us, we don't have a choice but to decolonize our faith. But for our white counterparts, they're like, white supremacy in the church? What are you talking about? God can't be racist. You're right. God can't be racist, and Jesus can't be racist. But you can be racist. Right. For real. But tell me a little bit about that, because it's like what does like decolonizing your faith look like to you? Because you hear like I said, and I feel like that's the troubling thing for a lot of us, especially for us that are impressionable in our faith. But like when we see our leaders don't speak out against these things, and they have certain takes on racism, but then they're quick to call out everything like you just listed. What does decolonizing your faith look like to you?
That is a great question. I think for me, I got away from just like you said, 2020, there was no church, no going to building. So I had a lot of time where it was just me, my Bible, or sometimes it's just me in a dark room talking to God and just listening to him. And I came to find that a lot of religious doctrine, at least for me, and this is just me personally, a lot of religious doctrine and just the way things are set up in a lot of churches, and especially in America, does not coincide and match with growing your faith. So I had to look at it and be like, okay, well, is it okay for me to feel this way? Is it okay for me to feel that way? Like, people in church would always tell me, don't think like this, don't think like that, only think like this, only think like that, do this, do that. And it's like, it almost became controlling to a point, to where it seemed like being obedient was more important than you actually growing your faith. Like,
or better yet, I'll add to that, being obedient to your pastor's kingdom,
yes,
not his kingdom. Talk about God's kingdom is more important than submitting to the manuscript. He wants you to submit to the man. That's what you're
exactly. It's like, oh, well, your pastor in your church is focusing in on this area of the word and this area of the kingdom, so you need to get in line with that. Otherwise, like, you're going to miss it. And it's like, well, wait a minute, like, maybe I'm not in that season. Maybe that's not where I'm needing to be right now. So you're saying if I'm not in line with what you're going with, that means I'm wrong. Oh, well, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And it's like, well, why not? Like, as my whole thing is, as Christian, we should always be the first ones out on the forefront whenever there's an injustice or, atrocity being committed. So when I see that literally people that look like me are dying on the streets and nothing is being done, and you're just sitting there silent, of course that's going to make me feel away and make me question, like, well, how serious are you about this calling me your brother thing? Because if that was me laying on the street, would you still be telling people, don't go protest, don't do that, don't do this? And then you got to think about it and look at it, because we've had these conversations. Like, a lot of times when Black people see these stories and these videos, it's not just some random Black person that we're seeing. We're seeing ourselves. We're seeing our friends, our sisters, our mothers, brothers, cousins, whatever, when we see these videos. So you saying it's not that important or making a joke about it, that, like, you can't call me your brother and then post some of the shit you were posting, or joke about some of the way you're joking, or take a stance of, well, let's just not get involved. Because no, like, you can't not be involved. Standing to the sidelines and being silent is accepting the oppression.
Facts. I always draw this illustration with like especially with like the George Floyd case is like you may not be the one like choking me out, but you're the one supervising me getting choked out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think like I heavily agree with you on that because I remember when I first started hitting the streets. And first off, and maybe I don't know how you felt about this because I know when I talked to Dave McGee, he said he was like immensely proud. And I'm not good at taking my flowers, but I don't know if I never ever heard you like talk about this. But when I first started like hitting the streets, and I remember like telling you, and I remember sending you like speeches and stuff, like I'm not even gonna, better yet, like, how did you feel when I first started, like, when I first went out there? You know what I'm saying? Like, when I was just like, okay, I looked to my left and I looked to my right. I was like, okay, I got in this car by myself. Nobody's meeting me up here. All right, bet. I guess I'm going to get to work. Like, how did you feel about seeing me out there and everything, like, doing my thing and still doing it to this day? But how did you feel like when I first, like, took that step out?
Same way I feel now. I was proud. I looked at you, you know, like a little brother, like, you know, he's accepting his calling. He's accepting the call that God has placed on his life and on his path right now, and he's going with it, you know. I knew at the time, I was like, knowing full well the step that you're taking is going to come with backlash. It's going to come with people abandoning you. It's going to come with people throwing dirt on your name and trying to make you out to be something that you're not. It's going to come with people pulling up your past and trying to put your past on your present and be like, well, he did this back then, so he's not good enough, or he's not the right person to be out here marching or saying these things. I knew that was going to happen, but the fact is that you were still out there. And even when that did start to happen and you started to get that pushback, you started to get the backlash, you started to get the people questioning, you know, well, why are you doing this? Why are you do? I remember one time you had sent me a text, and I remember for a split second, I didn't know whether or not to laugh or whether or not to flip off. You had said that somebody had sent you a message like, well, I see you out there on the streets marching and protesting, but are you doing that for God or are you doing that for yourself? And I kid you not, I was like, what? Like, who would willingly put themselves in the position that you were putting yourself in to lose friends, literally have people threatening you while you're out on the streets, and putting yourself in danger? Who would willingly do that to get a couple of Facebook likes and Instagram follows?
Yeah, it was I think for me it was I thought like in a lot of ways, like I feel like once I started tapping into my blackness, I became like a better Christian, I would definitely say, because like for me, stepping into my blackness means I have to acknowledge like what me and you, us as a people go through. And then it's like, okay, cool. You have a obligation, you know, you have a Luke 4:18, you know, be a voice to the voiceless, set the oppressed free, set the captives free. You have a Luke 4:18 obligation to do something about that now. So once I like stepped into it, I was like, yo, I feel closer to God now, not being in a building, meaning like not being in church, than I ever did being in church. And it was the perfect storm with the pandemic because it was like, you know, I'm just gonna say like this, nobody was feeding me spiritually. When I say nobody, like you and me talk and everything like that, but we weren't like you know, we weren't able to meet up. And why the hell would you want to meet up with me during the pandemic? Like, yo, if you clear your throat the wrong way, I don't know if I need to grab the Robitussin or the gun. Like, I don't know. But I think like what I tell people is like, yo, I'm doing this and I'm in constant line of communication. Chance the Rapper says, you know, I speak to God in public. Like, I had to always posture myself to do that. And I thought like what the craziest part was when I would say, and I challenged people because I saw many people from our church saying this, and I bring this meme up again. Oh, the church isn't closed, it's deployed. I'm like, well, where the hell are y'all out at then? Because I'm out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm out here. Y'all are hiking. Y'all, Panera Bread opened back up. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, now y'all want to pay $18 for a bowl of soup with bread, but nobody's out here with me. And I found myself in a lot of times, and I still find myself in a lot of ways. I'm surrounded by people that don't identify with me in my faith, but they identify with me in liberating my people or fighting for the oppressed. And some reason that became my fault, that I was surrounded by people that didn't align with me in faith. But our good old brothers and sisters on the sidelines, knowing that they supposed to be starters in this game with me. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, again, it's because it's easier to, shout encouragements and rah from the sideline than it is to actually step out and risk, losing something. Like, I could sit here all day, every day and type, sweet messages on Facebook about, standing up and, being one and Black Lives Matter and all that. But if I'm literally just typing on my keyboard or copying and pasting somebody else's post and then putting it on Facebook, like, is that genuine? Is that real? Like, am I putting myself in a position to actually lose anything? No. And so a lot of those people who were saying shit to you and speaking up, it's like, this brother, here's a young brother out here who's actually trying to make a difference. You're supposedly a leader at a church or a key member at a church that has Black people in your congregation. Like, that's what I couldn't understand. Like, you have Black people that go to your church.
Mm-hmm.
How are you not saying anything about this? How are you avoiding it? Like, I don't see how that's possible. How you could shepherd and, see people every single day that look like the people that are being murdered in the streets, and your response is nothing. I don't get it.
Yeah, it was because I mean, and you were pretty much catching the play-by-play as I was going through this. So like, and I've sent you the video and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But like when something traumatic happened, when somebody called me the N-word with a hard R, you know what I'm saying, while I'm in traffic. And I posted a video making it a teachable lesson, talk about how, as a person of color, but as a Christian first, I'm a Christian first and a Black man second. We saw our, it's kind of hard to call him a pastor because then it makes you question, were you really called to do that? But that's besides the point. But when you see like in instances in which instead of it's not only are you like critiquing like what's happening out there, talk about like the activists, not even addressing like the white supremacy that's like caused these two different groups to clash with each other, but then you take the time to take a shot at me, you know what I'm saying, one of your sons, you know what I'm saying, one of your spiritual sons and everything. We talked very, very briefly about that, but like, though it didn't directly happen to you, like, I know that had some type of impact on you. Like, how did you feel like knowing, like, pretty much like having our pastor take a shot at me, essentially, being connected to me, but just being like, being a Black member and a congregant to a shepherd that's apparently supposed to shepherd all people. How did that specific moment like impact you?
Again, just to be transparent, at that point, I had completely disconnected myself from that entire church, for personal reasons, and just also because, I was looking at just how things were moving and the way people were acting. So when that happened, first and foremost, I was concerned, like, how were you going to take it? And then secondly, I was like really confused, and really, just sad and disheartened, because I'm like, at least me personally, if somebody wants to correct me, by all means, correct me. That's the first time I can remember him ever touching on that subject. And I'm like, so the first time you like legit publicly touch on that subject is not in support. It's not compassionate. It's to critique somebody. It's to come at somebody. That's your first message to go along with what's happening out here. Like, not a good first impression, bro.
No, it was wild. Like, and it's funny. For instance, like he gave me a watch for Christmas in 2019. That watch is in the box. To me, it feels like a collar when I put that thing on, or even when I look at it, it's still in the box. I don't know. I might have to put that thing up and hawk it. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a cheap watch. It wasn't a cheap watch. And I say that because but hear me out. Like, because I know you got one too, because you're one of his spiritual sons. You know what I'm saying?
Send it back.
I mean, I could drop that joint off. I mean, I don't know. But then again, going to Cecil County, I don't know. Like, I was stirring up a lot of trouble out there. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean,
Golden got a mailbox.
That's true. That's very, very true. But yeah, man, I thought like for me, like that was a dark time in my faith, because I felt like for me, like it was like, okay, you're critiquing and telling me how I'm doing this wrong. And I think it was like 2 levels of heartbreak. It was the fact that like my white pastor is telling me I'm doing this wrong, but he's not showing me how to do it right in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like, he hits you with the generic, we're not at war with flesh and blood, but spirit to spirit, all this other stuff. But like, there was that. But then like, to still have black and brown congregants still in support of this man. Like, for me, what it felt like, and this may seem harsh, I don't care. And like I said, $2 for the Patreon for your 2 cents. But for me, it felt like when slavery was abolished and niggas still stayed on the plantation. Like that I'm gonna say it just like that. It just felt like, for me, you knew this was not sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? And then you saw, and not that I needed, like, I didn't want even anybody to align themselves with me, but just align themselves with what was right and what was wrong. For people to still keep going there that look like us, it really made you look like, hey, yo, like, nigga, they said we could go. It's 1865. Like, we could go. Why are y'all still here? And he's like, well, he said we could stay and they got apples for us. I mean, like, he might be nicer now. I don't know. I mean, but like, we never necessarily talked about that. But like, what was that? Like, did you have any feelings about that? It's like, yo, y'all seem like, and not to like big me up or anything, but like people that know like how much like he highly spoke of me and like bigged me up and everything, whether it was my music or my shoes or just everything else. To see me get treated that way, but then to see other people that are brothers and sisters that look like us and they still stay, like, what did you, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that, like, but yeah.
I had 1 or 2. My thing is, at this point, it's become a pattern, at least to me, the way I saw it. It's become a pattern that only certain people are going to get that grace and that love unconditionally. And then if you're not one of those people, like, the minute you're out of step or out of line, like, boom, you're gone. You're out of there. And, I saw it happen. Not just with you, to an extent with me. Another brother that we both know, that I ain't gonna put his business out there, I saw it happen with him. There's like 3 or 4 instances in the time that, I would go into that church where I saw it, to where that's what happened. And then the narrative that was pushed was one way, but then once I got out and I was on the outside looking in, I was like, I wonder if that was really the narrative and that was really the way things went down, because it doesn't sound like that's the way that things went down now on the outside looking in. Because the narrative will have you believe like, oh, they just couldn't see, they didn't want to, they weren't right, we're going in this direction, and God just removed them because they're not ready to elevate themselves up to this level that we're going, and if you don't want to elevate to the level that we're going to, then you can leave too. And at the time, like, I was drinking that stuff up, like, all right, yeah, like, drinking it up. But then once I got away from them, I was like, wait a minute, that don't seem, so you're saying if we're not getting to the level and the place where you think we should be and where we're going, then we gotta leave. That don't sound inclusive to me, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, because what it was, it goes back to this, like, one of my favorite quotes by Dr. Christina Edmondson. Any ideology, religion, country, or institution that requires you to love it and obey it without any room for legitimate critique is a cult. So I'm just saying, it was a little funny that, like, it's like, yo, kid, why are we doing it? We don't talk about that. Oh, why can't we go out and do that? We don't do that. It's just like, okay, like, y'all running a church or a country club. Like, what's happening around here? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was wild, man. And I still, like, for purposes for everybody else, like, I still have yet to find like a home church because I got trust issues now. Obviously, it's like, I even been to a couple of AMEs where I'm just like, they're all black churches. And I'm like, nah, I'm not ready yet. You know what I'm saying? And everybody look like me and everything. But as we saw, like, with our old church, just because they skin folk don't make them kin folk. Like, there's a level of mistrust that happens with that. But
do you need one?
Yeah.
No, I'm asking, do you need one?
You're asking me. You're interviewing me now with this question.
Yeah. Do you need a home church? Who's to say that what you're doing right now isn't your home church?
I mean, I do have. I think I told you I'll have to send you a link. I have an online community group that I established like earlier this year, and we talk every day. And we're all over the world, like all over the country. Like, I got partners in California. I got people in Connecticut. Some of them are watching right now. I got people in Jersey. We gotta go to New Jersey, by the way. There's these people I can't wait for you to meet. If they ever hop on screen, or if you come into the community group, you'll get to meet them while we do Zoom.
I got kinfolk in Jersey. It's whatever to me.
Oh yeah, facts. But I call them auntie and uncle to Misha and Rudy. But anyway, like, I've noticed that, like, I don't need to be in proximity to you to disciple you. So I, like, once again, that's part of like the deconstruction process of my faith. But I do think the community, as far as like being able to have somebody not only call when things are bad, when I just need an ear, but like, say when things get like really, really bad, in which I need like a physical interference or somebody to like come in. I think that's important. I just know in the season right now, I'm not there. I know that, like, I know the trauma in which that I'm dealing with, and as I'm licking my wounds, because I mean, this, man. Like, I got saved there. I celebrate so many years of sobriety there. I've performed and rapped at that church. There's a lot of parts that happen with the good parts of being a part of like that congregation, but then to be chewed up and spit out, it's just like, and you want me to do that all over again, or possibly put myself on the line of doing that all over again? I know I don't need it right now, but I mean, who knows what God will have for me, man? I don't know. They try to tell me that this online community group that I started, apparently, like, it is the church, and I'm apparently like the lead pastor. That's not true. I don't have enough grace to be a pastor. Because, in some responses, it's going to sound hella dignified and mad righteous. But then I'm going to hit you with a, nigga, what are you talking about? Like, we can't, you know what I'm saying? I'm better on the block, yo. Like, if I'm going to preach the gospel and preach the word, I'm going to do apologetics in Baltimore, trying to save our brothers and sisters that are on that weird Hebrew Israelite thing. But we'll talk about that another day. Them brothers, yeah, that's interesting. But
yeah,
But yeah, man. So this is one day, and it's funny because you like to throw shade at this moment. I didn't even you were trying to throw shade in this moment. Yeah, no, you were throwing shade. Like I'm gonna bring this up because I don't, it would be cool to kind of just like talk about this and how it personally impacted you. But like when we did it, but we weren't within units of each other. But when we did the March on Washington last year, after everything that happened and everything, like how did that day, like, bro, I don't know about you, dog, but for me, that was like it was like a family reunion with like there was like 1 million people. I think there was a lot of folk out there. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I was like, yo, this is lit. Like people are passing out business cards. People are, for some odd reason, they want to share blunts during a pandemic. Ill, gross. Like, 1 in 3 people got herpes and we're in a pandemic and you want to share blunts? That I can't do that. No. I can't take that chance. But like, dude, that day was just powerful, man. It was amazing. We saw Martin Luther King III get up there and talk. He was snapping. His daughter was snapping. His daughter was snapping. And then from like Al Sharpton to like all these other like big figures in our community, like talk a little bit about like that day. Like what did that day do for you, considering that all we endured last year as a people?
Well, the day that was powerful. I will say that was really, really powerful. I was fortunate enough to have that day off. Didn't have to be down there on the line, so just seeing, like, it was kind of like what you said. It felt like a big family reunion. It's like people were out there. It was all peace. It was all love. Like people were helping each other out, passing out free waters. I met a bunch of different people that I just like got a brief life story from them. And they got my brief life story, and then we just went our separate ways. It was no like, and just I remember thinking to myself, like, this is literally going to be something that is going to be remembered in a history book one day. And I'm in the middle of it, experiencing it. It's crazy to think, because even now when I think back on it, like when I really think back on it, I don't think I truly understood just what was happening at the moment until afterwards, when I'm laying in bed at home, like, wow, like my grandkids are probably going to be being told stories about this one day. And it just showed like that community can happen if we want it to. Like if we truly wanted it to. Like you saw all kinds of different people from all different kinds of walks. Not everybody was religious. Not everybody was Black. Not everybody was straight. Like you saw everything that you could think of out there, and there was no division. And I think that's the utopia type society that we all want to live in. And it was just beautiful. I can't put it into words, really. I'm trying, but I'm struggling. But it was just, it was a moment, and it truly impacted and influenced me to truly like live out that unapologetically Black mentality.
Yeah, and especially like whatever that looks like for you. Like I think that was the one thing that helped me like step into my Blackness a lot, meeting people like you, because we're unconventional. Like we like anime, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know it's conventionally Black to be a Knicks fan, but that's besides the point. We can talk about mental health in the Black community another time. But I like, for me, it was just great to be out there and see different, though you said like the different shades of Black, but like the different walks of Black, the different ways people express themselves and hermeneutics and stuff. Bro, the Haitian drum line that was there, that was lit. I got a video of that, yo. That was crazy.
Fire.
That was cool, yo. I really want to go back like this year just because, like, as you said, man, it was like, and I think like I don't know if you noticed this, what made it super dope was like, yeah, we had Reverend Al Sharpton, waves were spinning, we had like we had many speakers and stuff, but like there was a bunch of, I like to call it, like there was other, like in a weird way, like even though we're not trying to make this religious, it was like, yeah, we were hearing Rev preach, but there was like a couple of different, there was a bunch of like hundreds of different circles of like people just exalting and like speaking and like kind of like, when I say preaching, like not onto like a biblical sense, but just giving that work to like their other circles and stuff. I thought that was dope, yo. Like I was like, I don't even think people know that. And we saw this like with after Judas and the Black Messiah, that there was a bunch of Fred Hamptons in the making that were there. And like, you know, it was funny, like I think that's what I got most joy out of, was like, yeah, we were there to see Rev and we were there to like see everything else and everything. And you know, we got a quick little clap for our sister Kamala Harris, but yeah, she's yeah. But I think like the fact that like people knew that you didn't have to be Reverend Al Sharpton to be Reverend Al Sharpton. I thought that was, I think that's what was so insightful and inspirational for a lot of people that day. I thought that to me was like my favorite part. I'm serious. I'm going back this year. I don't know what's going on, but I'm driving. I'm not taking the subway. I can't take the subway or train. Right. I can't, dog. I can't. I'd rather deal with people that are pro-choice with turn signals than riding the train on. I can't do it. I can't do it, dog. One thing I wanted to touch on, because this, like I said, you know, I don't like, you know, this is all like off the top. I freestyle all of these and everything, but like, and we texted a little bit about this earlier, but so Paul Mooney passed away today, man.
Yeah, rest in peace.
That was for me, I mean, like you know, he was a writer for like Richard Pryor and everything like that. He was a frequent flyer on the Chappelle Show, but like just like his like political and polarizing like stances and stuff, and like how he was able to express his blackness in a time when doing that. I don't even think the term or the coin blackness came out until maybe like deep in the like the late 20s, the like 2000s and everything. But to have him be such a polarizing figure, to be blackness when blackness wasn't necessarily a word at the time, but how his impact on like the Black community and just like the world was, it was underappreciated at the time. I mean, like I can go all day about like what Paul Mooney meant to me, but like talk a little bit about like just his impact and his legacy on you and your life.
Paul Mooney was like that uncle at the cookout that had a couple drinks and then just did not care and just let it fly. Like he didn't care who was around. He didn't care how old you were. Like if you got around him, he's gonna tell you how it is, what it is. He ain't gonna sugarcoat it. He ain't gonna like give it to you in a nice little sippy cup. Nah, he was giving it to you raw, uncut, exactly how it is. And I loved his comedy for that. I loved his interviews for that. Like so many different times, like even now you can go on YouTube and watch some of his videos and you can hear in the room when he would tell a joke, you know, about black folks, like black folks would get it and they would laugh, but you can hear the white folks' uncomfortableness like just echoing through the building. And he did not care. And he would keep going and he would keep firing. And yeah, what was that sketch he did on Chappelle's Show? Nigga I think it was.
Yes. That one was crazy, yo.
Hilarious. Yeah, the man was gold. The roast of Richard Pryor, he was gold on that.
That's a classic. I feel like that's one of those, like, you know how they say like everybody, there's black movies and programs you have to watch. You had to watch the Kings of Comedy, The Wiz. You had to see Life. All these other different movies, John Q, you name it, but that is a slept on one. The roast of Richard Pryor, yo, that, yeah, for sure.
Definite classic, but no, he'll be missed. And I don't think anyone will be able to articulate and say the things that he said the way he said them. I don't think there'll ever be somebody like that again. But he was definitely important for the culture. That's for sure.
I thought the dope thing, and I talk about this all the time, and my sisters like to give me pushback. And I say sisters as in my black women and everything like that. They like to give me pushback because Paul Mooney would say, like, you know, it was a David Chappelle sketch. It was like this little like Mexican dude. He's like, black man, let me ask you, why you always like, I can't play it because it's gonna get demonetized on YouTube. But he was, you know what I'm talking about? He was like, black man, why do you always walk the way that you walk? Like, why do you do that? And you know, he responded back on some stupidness. He was like, why do you talk like that? But he was like he said black men are just, you know, we have style, we have flavor. He said the black man is the most copied being on the planet Earth, bar none. The black man is the most coolest figure in the world. It doesn't matter what he comes from. He said, and then he was like, you know, everybody want to be a nigga, but not everybody want to be a nigga. And then he was like, but like, I thought that was dope because for me, it was, you know, like I said it before, like it wasn't cool to be black for the longest time, but he was like, no, it's very much cool to be black. We are the needle pushers in this country. We are the economic bloodline of this country. We push the trends. We push the fashion styles. We tell you what sports are cool. Don't let us get in hockey. You know what I'm saying? And you know, like Luka Doncic is trying to, you know, come back and let, you know, people in the NBA know like white boys could still hoop out here. You understand me? But I thought it was just dope because to hear that in my youth and him not specify of like what blackness is, where it's not like unconventional or anything. It's just the fact that like he spoke of with much dignity and everything like that, though he was a jokester and everything, with much dignity and saying like black men don't know how amazing they are, but just black people in general. But he, like, for me, you know, to see like how we get brutalized, demonized, dehumanized and everything, for me, that did a lot for me because it was just like saying like you inspire people that you've never even met yet. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's in the fashion, in the culture or anything like that. I mean, like, man, brothers was wearing the most god awful ugly suits. And then we had Allen Iverson. The man added hip hop to sports. You know what I'm saying? Before Michael Jordan, even though apparently Republicans and Democrats buy Jordans, we'll get into that another time. But like the fact that he literally made sneakers jewelry. Like it was just as important as like a chain and everything like that. It's just I think that when it wasn't popular, he spoke on how important we are and how dope we are. And I always like I loved that about him, and he'll definitely be missed, man, because like as you said, like we ain't never gonna have somebody that polarizing to take the stances that he took ever again, for sure.
Never. Nope.
Yeah, rest in peace, man. He was, like I said, writer for Richard Pryor. Y'all gotta watch. Do I want to tell? Because there's some, I know people watch this with their kids. Nah, watch it with your kids. Watch the roast of Richard Pryor, yo. That, oh my goodness. Like, if you just having a bad day, yo, woo, you burn calories laughing at that. But yeah, man. So now it's time for a couple of quick hitters. So when I say quick hitters, like I do typically ask this to like, I'm gonna call it congregants. If we're gonna call the podcast a church. You know, it's funny. Somebody said that my podcast, I thought it the other day. I was like, you know, my podcast be like mad Pentecostal some days where they just go like hella long sometimes. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like some podcasts are like 30 minutes. Mine are like, they range, but so quick hitters and questions I want to ask you. So, and I started doing this because there is a difference, and I feel like you can appreciate both, but still have your list. So, top 5 rappers, but instead of just typical top 5, I want you to give me your East Coast top 5 and your West Coast top 5.
Oh, So where does the line start?
Man, your line, like every playlist is like a fingerprint. They all look similar, but none of them are the same.
No, I'm talking about where does the line start? Like, what's West Coast? What's East Coast? Like, are we considering Texas to be East or West Coast?
That's like I
See
think
what I'm
that's like
saying?
Midwest. I think that's like Midwest, you know what I'm saying, but South. So if you wanted to give even your South, if you got that too, if you want to give me a top 5 from East, West, and then like your Southern rappers, give it to me. But yeah,
So are we talking about? I know I'm making this. It's supposed to be quick hitters, and I'm asking all
I
these
know.
questions. Are we talking where they were born or where they rap? We're gonna go where they rap. We'll make it easy.
Where they rap, because DMX is originally from Baltimore, but everybody likes to credit him to New York, so it's just.
He's
yeah.
But anyway, all right. So we'll start East Coast. Not in any particular order, but DMX, Nas, Hove, Biggie, Rakim.
All right.
Then we'll move we'll move south. We'll go Andre 3000. Bun B, David Banner, T.I.
The God Box is a
that's fire.
Yeah. Fire. Slept on album, man. That came out in I want to say 2017, 2018. That was a fire album. Yeah. Slept on.
Number 5, Big Crit. Not a lot of people give him enough credit.
Yeah. Crit. Yeah. I love me some I love me some Crit, dog, man. Yeah, for sure. So West Coast,
Pop, Snoop, Too Short, Kendrick. I'm gonna get this last one too. It's toss up between Schoolboy and Absol got some fire. I'm gonna go Schoolboy.
Okay, all right. I don't think I've ever given mine on here, and now that I think about it, so I think I'll match yours. So East Coast, no particular order. Jay for sure. Biggie got me with Machine Gun Funk. That made me want to make beats. You know what I'm saying? Jay, Biggie, what's yo's name? Because he's kind of slept on. Joel Santana. You know what I'm saying? Like he.
All right, we're done. We're done.
No, hear me out.
Nope,
Joel Santana. Nah. Joel Santana got some he got, if you go through his catalog, he's got some heat.
See, if you would have said Cam, I could have rocked with you because Cam is slept on. Not
Cam
Jules,
is slept on, but Cam be tweaking too. You know what I'm saysaying?
No, he get computers puting.
True, but yeah, but you'll have to when I say it, because if you go through his back catalog, Santana slept on, dog.
Okay.
And then he don't get enough credit either. LL, you know what I'm saying? And I related to him because I'm still waiting for my muscles to come in the mail. But when he
we talking like early 90s LL before he started acting though, right? We're not talking about...
for sure. I'm talking skinny LL with the chain was like a pair of drawers for him because they were just barely hanging on him.
I thought you were gonna be talking about get your head crunk LL when he was
No. I'm talking late 80s. Yeah, like late 80s, early 90s, LL. And there's another cat I'm trying to think of. East Coast, I can't really think of right now. Oh, did I say Nas already?
No, you didn't.
I don't think I said Nas. No, I didn't. Oh, Nas.
You did. I'm glad you did.
Yeah,
you would have had a problem.
And the funny thing, we'll talk a little bit about this. Why is Nas so bad at picking beats? I'm so happy he didn't pick the beats.
Don't be one of them people. Don't be one of them people.
Dude, I don't know what it was about him picking beats. I'm like, look, you are spitting, but I want to bop a little bit. I'm vibing with what you're saying. Like, I'll tell people all the time, lyrically, Jay-Z couldn't see Nas. Lyrically, he couldn't see Nas. But as far as writing songs, just I'm talking instrumentation to complement his lyrics. Oh, Nas was awful. He was awful. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I gotta say it. I like how both of us didn't put M in our top 5 for East Coast, but that's besides the point.
I mean, I like M. I like he's dope, but like
he's once again a dope lyricist, but I don't like his songs. You know what I'm saying?
I just if we're talking top 5, he's not gonna be in there.
Respect. South, no particular order. Actually, no, this is an order for this one. Andre's at the top. 3 Stacks is at the top for me as far as South goes. Okay. And that's the only, he's my number one that won't move. You know what I'm saying?
The rest of these are out of order.
Crap. Now I kind of want to switch my East Coast, but I just really thought about him, but that's okay. It's all right. One of my East Coasters. And I think Joel might have to get out of here because I didn't say Lupe because Lupe was slept on.
He's not East Coast though. He's Midwest.
Yeah.
They don't claim themselves.
No.
They don't claim
Chicago's, but Chicago is East though. But okay,
but they don't claim being from the East Coast.
That's true. Okay,
they say they Midwest.
South, all right, so South. I already said he's not moving. 3 Stacks is just not moving. Mm-hmm. Banner. He got some bars. Luda, I gotta give it to Luda. For sure. Crit and Trey the Truth.
Okay.
Trey's got and West Coast. Okay, so I'm just gonna be honest, and when I say and you know me, brother, I ain't gonna lie to you ever. Mm-hmm. I wasn't the biggest Tupac fan, and I mean I was one of those like Biggie was. You had to pick between. I did not study enough on Pac to just put him in my top 5. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. I'm not one of those people that's gonna lie to you because if you told me to quote a couple of Pac lyrics, I only know the commercial ones. I'm just gonna just keeping it a buck with you. Mm-hmm. So West Coast, no particular order. Snoop.
Okay.
Nip.
Okay.
Kendrick. Okay. I got on Too Short very late, so I can't put him in my 5 for. I'm just being real with you. I got onto him really late. Even though he's really commercial and goofy, you gotta put 40. You gotta put E40 in there. I
won't hate that.
You know what I'm saying? Nah, Tyler, I don't think I could do because Lil Wayne raps for white people now. I don't know if I could put him in either one of those. Sorry. Where am I at now? I said
Snoop,
Nip. What else I say? I said 40, right?
40.
Who else did I say? That was only gave
Kendrick.
3 so far. I did say Kendrick. Yep. So 4. If I had to pick a 5 for West Coast, Ice Cube.
Okay. I can't hate that.
Gotta give it to Ice.
But again, we talk about old Ice. We not talk about.
He don't really rap anymore. He's making movies.
I'm sure he's on those soundtracks.
But hear me something, dude, man. If he really wanted to,
no,
he could get busy on the pen. He's like the godfather of West Coast rap. That's just me. But
no.
Digital Underground, Ice Cube. See, Auntie Tamisha knows. Okay. Shoot. But those are my top 5.
You should know as an artist that you out of the game that long, you ain't just coming back in and picking up the pen and writing some fire. No, it's gonna take him some time to get back into shape.
Yeah, I feel that. Okay, so you gave me a top 5. We're not gonna do sports because we already know where you sit on.
Hold on. We got to backtrack for one thing.
Okay.
Your boy Tyler. Nobody has a bigger impact on the rap game than Weezy. What? I mean, Weezy's fire. He put out some hits, but the biggest, nobody has had a bigger impact. I don't know about that. I can't rock with that.
Oh, and to expound on this, Ice Cube didn't back up 45's platinum plan. He was just like, okay, which one of y'all gonna do something for the black community? And he was willing to sit with anybody that was going to give us something tangible. So I can't, if you know Nas, I'm not Nas, but if you know what Cube has done for the culture, it wasn't so much he was like, oh yeah, but yeah, man, people were trying to cancel it, man. My man was trying to cancel. Whereas Exhibit, I can't tell you, I'm gonna keep it a $150 with you. I can't name 5 Exhibit songs.
He's pimping a car right now. That's where he's at.
Well, you gotta understand, Tyler is actually like, he's in Cali. So you know,
he's
I'm
still
saying,
out there. Okay.
Yeah, he live in Cali. So you know, he has a big
now if he would have brought up Daz and Corrupt, Warren G, who else is big out there? Well, at least he didn't say Macklemore. He could have said Macklemore. That'd have been bad.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. He stole the Grammys from Kendrick. We don't talk about that. So okay, so we
Game, J.
Oh
Rock.
yeah, Rock is slept on too. Yeah,
super slept on. Rock got hits. He got bars too.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with that too. There's way more influential. Like Lil Wayne is influential for having 4 dreadlocks. Those are dreadful. His locks are dreadful. Those things scare me. They look, his hair, his locks look like hot fries. Tell me they don't.
See, I can't agree with him having the biggest impact because I remember Weezy when he was the block is hot Weezy, and that was trash. I remember Bling Bling Weezy. You know, I didn't come in on No Ceilings and when he was dropping mixtapes. I remember when he was the sidekick for the Hot Boys.
He said agree to disagree. That's a good question to bring in. One hit wonder rapper.
Oh, one hit wonder rapper. Trinidad James.
Designer. Panda.
I take gold all of my watch. Don't believe me. I take that over Designer.
Yeah, but when you're just talking about how much of an impact that Panda had, boy, Panda still slaps to this day, but I don't know anything else about that brother after that.
Or Shaq West. He had a banger too.
What was his Mo Bamba? I
Mo
think it
Bamba.
was. Yeah, Mo Bamba. Yeah, that brother still ain't getting no clock on the Magic. That's a shame, yo. My goodness.
Well, the Magic are trash.
Yeah.
My man's. Oh, she said Mims. I forgot about Mims.
What was his acronym? Mims is music is my savior. Oh yeah.
This is why I'm hot. Didn't he have another one though?
He did, but it was with one of the Step Up movies. I think it was with Step Up 2 it came out. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah.
Chingy, that was another one. He had a banger.
He had a banger, but he had, when I say this, like he was definitely one hit wonder, but you can appreciate some of his music if you look for it. That's all I gotta say. You're not gonna find it, but if you look for it, and I'll say that. That's it. You have to look for it. It's kind of like my man Russ. You gotta look to find a good Russ.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I'm saying. He said hi, hater. All right, man, just stop. Okay,
no, he's talking about Mano.
I know Mano. I didn't even know that was a Mano song. That's how much I don't.
Wow.
That lets you know.
That's his song. That's his one song.
I hear you, but I didn't even know that was his. That lets you know. Like I know him to be on Love and Hip Hop, and then he was in a Brandy. He was in a Brandy music video.
Was he?
Yes, he was. He was in a Brandy music video.
Okay.
Yeah, what I'm saying. Yeah, that's just not Brandy. No, it wasn't Brandy. Was it? What's her? Was it Brandy? It was Brandy. No, it wasn't Brandy. See, I can't remember the chick he was with. See, that's how irrelevant he is to me. But that's besides the point. Crap. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but there was another quick hitter I always ask. Okay, so we did sports already. Oh, Top 5 wrestlers.
Like WWE wrestlers?
You can go, we'll do this. WWE. That includes SmackDown and Raw. Then we're going WWF. If you want to do WCW, I don't really, you could do WCW. That's fine. I already gave mine before, so this is all you that's going to do it. ECW. We're not going to touch on the PG era ECW. We don't know.
That don't exist.
And then, yeah, that doesn't exist. We don't talk about that. And NXT.
Well, I don't watch too much NXT, so I'm going to have to take myself out of that. We're going to go, if we're talking ECW, we'll start there. Rhino, Taz, Sabu, Sandman, RVD. Boom. Slap that to the side. Then we're going WWF. The Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker. Folks may laugh at me, but I love me some D'Lo Brown.
Yo, D'Lo, that was a funny, but yo, that little,
yo, D'Lo
I don't know
Brown,
why
that was my dude.
Hey, yo, D'Lo was the man.
Yeah,
yo.
that was my dude. And then Jeff Hardy. This is, you know, coked up Jeff Hardy, not when he got clean. Like, this is coming down to the ring high as hell, Jeff Hardy. That's the Jeff Hardy I like. WWE, CM Punk. Again, I like The Miz. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I remember him from being on Real World. And the fact that he made it. The fact that he made it is just so, like, inspiring to me.
The only other person from Cleveland, Ohio, but yeah.
Who else is WWE? Daniel Bryan. No, I actually don't like Daniel Bryan. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
Really?
I don't. I used to, but now I don't. His gimmick just kind of played out to me.
I get that.
Man, I can't really. Bray Wyatt. I think he is super underrated. Roman Reigns. He get a lot of heat, but I like him. And Brock Lesnar. Boom.
Bet. And do you have one for WCW?
WCW, Juventud Guerrero, because
yes,
that name. When The Rock said his name like that, so Juventud Guerrero, Sting. Even though Sting could probably be WWF too, but I remember Crow Sting.
No, he technically was never. You got to remember, he was never in WWE or the WWF affiliate. No,
I'm pretty sure he was WWF.
Oh, that's right. He was never in WWE until like a couple years ago. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. So Juventud Guerrero, Sting, Conan, Booker T, and Raven. Although Raven could probably be ECW too, but
yeah,
I remember seeing him first on WCW.
Yeah, for sure. And for another quick hitter, this is just funny, and I you know, my answer is not actually this answer. I know I used to say this to just make you mad. So obviously I already know your answer, but if you had to pick between the two, KFC or Popeyes?
Really?
Hey man, this was funny. This is something that used to really irritate you as your
because who eats KFC?
I mean, I don't really eat.
Have you ever seen anybody bring a bucket of KFC anywhere?
Yes, actually, which is sad. No, so
let me tell
you a story. No, hear me out.
Black person?
Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story real quick.
Popeyes must have been closed.
Listen to me.
They couldn't find it.
Listen to me. This is not a joke. So one time at a protest, and you know how people were bringing food and stuff. Sometimes people would bring like pizza and water and stuff like that. One of our allies actually brought a bucket of KFC to a Black Lives Matter protest.
You said allies, right?
Yes.
They were white, right?
Yes.
So again, have you ever seen a black person bring a bucket of KFC anywhere?
I would have brought Royal Farms before KFC. It was just like, nigga, what are you doing? Like
KFC, like no offense, but KFC tastes like white people chicken. Ain't no spices, ain't no real flavor. Like the breading ain't done right, they ain't fried right. The chicken don't be like nah. Popeyes all day, every day.
That's what happens when you steal the recipe from a black man, but that's besides the point.
Now, I will say their biscuits are better than Popeyes because Popeyes biscuits will kill you.
Yeah, they'd be like, you know, they so good. When I say this, they're good, but not good for you. Does that make sense? Meaning, like they will kill you.
They'll definitely back you up. Them things is like cement bricks that just haven't hardened yet.
Hey, yo, you can eat like if you ate like ramen noodles and Popeyes biscuits for a week, you gain like 2 pounds. I guarantee it.
Gain 2 pounds?
Gain like 2
day,
pounds.
maybe.
A day? I mean, I gotta poop at some point, nigga. Like
you ain't gonna be right for a good little minute. You eat Popeyes and ramen noodles for a week.
Hey, yo, that's funny, yo. That's some funny stuff. Okay. You know, they're technically Lay's. Doritos are Lay's.
Which type of Doritos? Which type of Lay's?
I said what I said.
See,
you had to compare the
there's
two.
So many different variants. Because if we talking about them sweet heat hickory barbecue Lay's, them things slap.
Yeah, but sweet chili Doritos though?
Trash.
What? That's unpopular, but okay. All right.
Trash. I mean, the nacho cheese be hitting. I don't even really mess with the Cool Ranch. I'm just keeping it a buck. I don't mess with Cool Ranch Doritos.
All right. Solange or her?
Musically or?
Musically.
Okay, we're going to keep it music. Her, because I don't. Solange is like, she comes up with an album like Lauryn Hill do, like once in a blue moon.
Well, after she punched Jay-Z in the face, she had a seat at the table, but you know, that's besides the point.
I mean, hey.
Yeah, it is what it is. If you can't get this one wrong. Sierra or Keisha Cole?
What? Sierra or Keisha Cole? Keisha Cole.
Okay, good. I was worried for a second. I was like, man, if you say, man, you'd be surprised the answers I've gotten.
Sierra. What?
I mean, she had goodies and everything else that pretty much Missy Elliott gave her, but that's besides the point. And then you know what?
Yeah, ask them who they singing when they sad though. You ain't gonna put on a Sierra record when you sad. You put on a Keisha record and sing every lyric to every song she had.
Oh yeah, facts, man.
I don't love you no more.
I remember when I went through my breakup, yo, man, eating some hot wings in the rain on a rainy day, listen to some Keisha Cole. What? If you want to get ugly real quick, just hey, yo, like that's funny, boy. All right. How High or Friday?
Oh, that's actually a tough one. We talking original Friday, right? With Chris Tucker.
Yes.
Oh. Damn, that is tough. I gotta go Friday because of Nia Long.
I feel that. I just, for me, Method Man and Redman is going it all. That college professor beat that will forever be burned in my brain, son. Oh man. And as far as like a movie that'll make you cry, some people I don't really get it. meaning like it won't really make me cry, to be honest with you. But actually no, it's sometimes. Set It All for John Q.
Before kids, Set It Off. After kids, John Q.
Yeah, this is kind of funny. We had a discussion about this. And this is not right, but somebody asked me, it's like, yo, how do you think my man would feel if he found out that wasn't really his kid?
Hey, yo. Sir, you're not a match for his blood type. Wait a minute.
That movie would have went to, oh my God. Like, can you imagine it, nigga? Oh man. And
I couldn't.
Boy. Ooh, I'm like, Shorty, you're gonna have to take this rap from me. I can't. That's nah, dog, not at all.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't. Oh, and this is a good one, and then we'll wrap it up on this one. Top 5. I want to say, yeah, top 5 comedians.
Oh.
Don't gotta be in order either.
Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
Eddie Griffin.
Yes.
Patrice O'Neal.
Yes.
Who else we gonna go with? See, I feel like Eddie and Richard are easy answers, and they're in like their own field. But I'm gonna, even though like they're in their own stratosphere, but yeah, Eddie and Richard. Denzel is the best actor. Yeah, Denzel is a good actor, like for real. His son's a good actor too. Have you seen Malcolm and Marie yet?
No, I haven't seen that one yet. Actually, nah.
I'm telling you,
it's good.
It'll definitely trigger you some for sure.
Oh man, is it one of those like black? When I say black movies, like one of those black trauma movies, because I can't watch some of them because I'm gonna keep it $150 with you. I like.
It's literally the entire movie is about John David Washington and Zendaya. They're dating. They come home from a movie premiere, and she's pissed off because he didn't thank her in the speech, and then it proceeds to go downhill real fast, real quick, and we've all been in a toxic relationship before, and this is basically a toxic relationship that plays out on screen.
So
like they argue and then they like separate, and then like one of them starts up again, so they start arguing again, then they separate again, and then they start arguing. It's triggering, but it was a good movie.
And I just thought of this one, so this is my last question before we close out. You can have dinner with any of these 5 people. So you and these 5 other people, dead or alive, who do you want to have dinner with? All 5 of them at the table with you.
Ooh. Both my grandfathers, because they both, one died before I was born, the other died while I was still a baby. So both of them. Malcolm X.
Malcolm X or Malcolm Little?
No, after the pilgrimage, after the trip,
after the red hair and everything. I gotta ask. That's why.
After when he separated from the nation. So Malcolm.
And you know what? Since you picked both your grandfathers, they can count as 1. So
okay. So we're at 2 right now. Who else do I want back? Well, if I got Malcolm, I gotta have Martin there.
You know what I want to ask Martin?
What
was the name of that nigga that used to just roll up with him with nothing but overalls?
Oh,
what was his name?
I know a boy's name. I forgot his name, but yeah. Yeah.
I just need to know, where did you meet him? That would
he didn't play no games. When he was around, people knew to act right. Frederick Douglass.
That's one I've never gotten on here, actually.
Really? And Nat Turner.
So 2 biblical brothers that escaped. Well, one escaped, one was freed from the plantation. That's interesting. For me, would be James Baldwin.
Okay.
Maya Angelou.
Okay.
Jay-Z. Nip. And there was some. Oh, and Eddie Griffin. That'd be a real interesting conversation. Yeah.
Can I help you?
Is that the kid or the dog again?
The dog.
Your other son. That man, he a grown man. I met your dog one time. That dog is huge. Yo, I owe him some smoke. So one time he caught me real bad. Like, I mean, like 2-piece my nuts one time, right? Like, I was like, hey, yo, you big, beautiful bastard. You know, 2-piece me in the balls one time. I was like, yo, oh my goodness. That's funny. But yeah, man. And we can wrap it up, man. Thank you for coming on here, man. I thought this was
thank
dope.
you for having me.
Yeah, I thought this was dope. You already know what it is, man. I mean, like we talk when the camera's not rolling and everything like that. But this was dope. And you already know, if anytime you want to give your commentary on any of the episodes, like for tomorrow, for instance, we're doing the BIPOC solidarity episode, where it's just all people of color tomorrow. If you wanted to, I don't know if you're free tomorrow, but that's completely up to you. But thank you, man, for coming through. I thought this was dope, fruitful.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was all right, man. And trying to think. Yeah, man. Like I said, you're welcome. You already know you're welcome here anytime. Anytime you need to do a drive-by, drop an ether or 2 on white supremacy, you already know you're welcome back here anytime, dog.
Appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, man. And just want to say, love you, man. You've been not only very instrumental in like my development and everything, but just to have you as one of my pillars in my life, bro. Like being able to share this moment with like my audience and everything, for them to know the solid people that I've had in my corner. There's difference between having people in your circle and in your corner, but just having you, brother, just want to, say thank you, my brother. I love you, man. The love is real. And you already know we had to get up at one point during the playoffs.
For sure.
Yeah, that's got to happen at some point. I don't know where or when or what we eating, but we want to get up one day during these playoffs.
For sure. All love, bro. Much love to you. And I will holler at you probably tomorrow.
All right, brother. And I'm going to wrap it up, y'all. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. I didn't think anybody was going to get disrespectful in the comment section, but this was dope. I'm going to keep continuing this series of like having these different like pillars and solid people in my life. I'm looking to have one of my moms. I've had men on here that like inspire me and that are mentors me, but I'm looking to have one of my moms on here. One of my moms, loved on me when I was broke, busted, and disgusted, and before I found Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful testimony, beautiful woman, beautiful soul. You know what I'm saying? That'll be really dope. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. We're gonna be back here at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, getting in some good trouble. You know what I'm saying? Getting in some good trouble with my fellow kings, queens, and brothers and sisters in different communities for the BIPOC solidarity episode. We got a lot to talk about. You know what I'm saying? A lot. Tomorrow might be a big one, might be one of our biggest ones yet. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Like I said, not in trying to like guilt you or anything like that, but please consider signing up for our Patreon. The link is in our description. It's just $2 a month, in which, it really goes a long way into helping us, expand. Like I'm saying, I got people that sit underneath me that I produce for. I'm trying to get Tyler a car at some point. You know what I'm saying? if I want to, I want to be able to pay for somebody's braces, you know what I'm saying? Whatever we can do and just upgrade equipment and just upgrade things. I eventually, once I finish my album, I want to start being able to do shows from the comfort of my own home. And, that's one way to help expedite that happen. And of course, support the website, ghostthreads.com. Get you some dope merch. You know what I'm saying? And just look fly while you're doing it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Always remember, you are beautiful, blessed, and beloved. Raisins don't go on potato salad. Okay. I don't know how many times I got to say that because I still see somebody put somebody actually put grapes. I saw it on where was it? I saw it on what was it? It was on Pinterest. Somebody put actual grapes, not the raisins, grapes in potato salad. Where the hell did we start doing that at? My God. I'm sorry. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. Y'all trifling. Raisins don't go on potato salad. Neither does its little brother grapes. And Jesus wasn't white. Have a good night.